Live here, Portland Sports Leader, the Fan Sports Network. Should be a fun little day today. It's a Friday. I hope most of you out there have a 3-day weekend. I know we get a 3-day weekend around here. Having the fun conversation with my kids this morning. They're like, no school on Monday. I was like, I don't work on Monday either. And the look of shock on their face was massive. And I think it's because they are not aware that I don't work in restaurants and bars anymore. It's only been like 6 months.
Right.
It's only been, maybe the coolest opportunity to ever happen to me in my entire life.
Uh-huh.
But thanks for paying attention over there.
Right.
My oldest got braces yesterday, and I can't help but just be like, sorry.
Yeah.
That sucks.
That sucks.
People are like, the state of this country is in a pretty rough spot. And I'm like, I know. I'm going to go to my job today. Not a bad little place to be. Not a bad little place to be. Solo dolo today. I got my good buddy Jeff Rustin there to help me out. You all are going to be great today as well. We'll see how far we make it. And coming up next, we'll go to break right now. Oh, my bad. Just 12 more minutes to go. But I had a nice ride in this morning today. I don't know what it is for me. I've been in a very, very positive mood of late. My wife called me on the way into work and was like, I'm so sorry you're going to be late. I was like, well, I did all the work last night.
Mm-hmm.
I had to get gas this morning. Took the kids to school. Got some coffee from my favorite joint in downtown Vancouver. I feel great.
There you go.
I feel fantastic.
Well, and you weren't late. You were just a touch later than usual.
Traffic out there.
Yeah. Trains.
I like being in charge of my own schedule. I got up early this morning.
Yeah.
I was ready to rumble.
Right on.
Of course, I never get up early when I need to shave,
Right.
which really stinks. Because I can't tell you how many times I'm like, I'm going to get up early today, and I'm going to, shave. I'm going to, clean my bathroom, and then it's, 7:20, and I'm like, maybe not.
Maybe not.
It drives everybody in my house absolutely insane. How long does it take you to get ready in the morning, Rust?
Me?
Yeah.
Well,
So it's like, say you wake up and you're like, oh, man, I'm running behind. I got to get out of here. How fast can you get out of the door?
are we talking just basically getting up?
You got to shower.
Getting dressed.
You got to
Okay.
shower.
Gotcha.
You got to either pack something to eat or eat something.
I'm usually in and out of the shower in about 8 minutes. Pack something to eat. I don't typically. I just don't bring food with me much here or anything or eat here.
I don't like food.
Yeah, well, trust me, I like food. I could probably, I'll say 15 to 20.
I know. I think I'm about 20 minutes. I'll get up a little late. I'll sleep in a little bit. Then I'll get up and, you kind of take my morning ritual. And
I
then,
guess there is that too. So
morning
let's
ritual.
stretch that out to about maybe 30, 35.
I also have to run the hot water in my sink to make sure I get hot water in my shower.
That's weird.
I know. I've got to get it figured out, but I'm afraid they're going to be like, here's how it figures out. That'll be $10,000.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, we talked about this in show prep.
Mm.
I got $46 on me right now. Can you do this for $46? That's all I got.
That's what I got.
I offered Sprague $100 to stay here and do this show with me. He was like, $100 an hour. And I was like, see ya.
Trust me, I almost thought about asking Dusty if it was okay to call in old lowercase today.
In this economy, you're turning down $100? You're out of your mind.
Oh, he's got big morning show money.
Oh, yeah. Must be nice.
Right?
Must be nice.
Whereas me, midday producer, money.
Brother, I ain't far from you. Should be a nice little weekend, though, you know?
Yes.
Sports gods have smiled on us again. Having Monday off will be great because we'll get to watch the Natty. And, I feel very fortunate that I am done with my job at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, obviously, I got a ton of other stuff to do. But,
Right.
I'm pretty much out of here. Sometimes I get in the car before Duck Insider starts. It's a pretty nice life to live. But I always hated, the national championship or any kind of big game that you wanted to watch. Like Monday Night Football drives me crazy sometimes for us on the West Coast. Because, even if the game starts at 5:15, Natty will start at 4:45.
Right.
I mean, you want me to get home right at 5.
Right.
And hustle my ass to the TV to get things going. It's a rough. Now, the counter, obviously, is that's better than That's better than it being 8:15 on the East Coast.
Right?
But as somebody who spent a lot of time in your life living the nocturnal life, kind of sign me up for it. I watched a Blazer game that finished at like 11 o'clock on the East Coast, and it was in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I was like, this is rad on the East Coast. This is super rad.
I will say, as a former bartender where I was there until 2, 3 in the mornings, I could see that being nice on the East Coast, having some West Coast basketball on up until late. You know what I mean?
One of my absolute giant bucket lists, sports bucket lists to do in my life is to go to the Australian Open.
Oh,
There is no tennis tournament that I have watched more in my life than the Australian Open.
yeah.
It's not even close. I don't know if there is a sporting event at that time of night that I have watched more than Australian Open tennis.
Gotcha.
There'd be times I get done at the bar working, the restaurant, brewery, bar, whatever I was doing, get done at 12:30, 1 o'clock, get home, and at 2 o'clock is Nadal Federer for the title. You're like, this is rad. I mean, 3:30 and 4 a.m. isn't really fun, but this
Right.
is kind of rad.
Yeah.
Do you have sports bucket lists?
I think the Masters is probably on there.
The Masters?
Yeah.
Masters would be fun.
Yeah. Masters would be great.
Masters would be fun. The only thing that would like give me mass anxiety at the Masters is I'd want a spot that I could post up every day.
Yes.
Like
Somewhere at Amen
today.
Corner. Or
Today I'm
something.
at Amen Corner. Tomorrow I'm
Yeah.
at 15. Saturday I'm at 3, 4, 5, something like that, and Sunday I'm at 18.
Right? Yeah.
The idea of running around like some people
Following a
like
group.
praise you, man.
Yeah.
Like, more power to you, because that is a massive challenge in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Not only am I like going to be wheezing before I even get past the first hole, but like then it's like I'm short. Like, we're short men,
Yes.
and so like I can't see over anybody.
Yep.
I can't. Excuse me.
Yeah. I don't have anybody's shoulders to climb up
No,
on.
no. But the Masters would be great. I always wanted to go to a Rose Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Been to one.
If my team were in it, I always wanted to go to a
Gotta
Rose
sit in
Bowl.
the press box at a Rose Bowl.
Sexy,
Next
dude.
to Big Sook Jason Sukanik.
Oh, that'd be a fun day.
Watching Oregon beat Russell Wilson in Wisconsin.
Dude, I think there's time left on that clock.
That was a fun one.
Yeah.
That
No
was-
no shot at Ducks here, but
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, it reminded me of the 98 Rose Bowl, Wazoo, Michigan, where I was like, the clock was running, but I was like, shouldn't the clock stop right now? And it didn't. I was like, okay, I guess Wisconsin lost.
Yeah.
Did you notice, I assume you watched the Rose Bowl this year, Indiana, Alabama. A fascinating thing, and I'm curious from your perspective because you were there at that game. When every time it cut to Fowler and Herbie in the booth, they looked a million miles away.
You're up there. I mean, well, look, it's a 100,000 seat stadium too.
They're always big.
You know what I mean? So yeah, you're up there definitely.
Yeah, they kind of look like they were pushed to like one of the corners of the end zone. Like, you're not watching the game from that vantage point. You're watching your monitors, but the view
I
of
was
the rest.
watching the field.
You were able to watch the field?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. And I tell you what, even from all the way up there, DeAnthony Thomas still looked really fast.
Does he sit in top 5 for Oregon fans, DeAnthony Thomas?
Oh, probably
Of
not.
of just like a wow kind of factor?
In terms of that, sure. Yeah, I'll say that. In terms of like speed and the blow your hair back kind of thing. But in terms of like fan favorites and whatnot, I'm not quite sure that he cracks that list.
What is your 5?
Oh boy.
Because I'll try to give you my 5 from a non-bias.
Okay, we'll go with the Joey.
You got to take NFL out of it too.
No, of course, yeah.
No, this
We're talking
was
strictly-
not pertaining to Joey, but
Right.
like Herbert is so much better now than he was there, and
Yeah.
Mariota was so much better there than he is now.
Yeah, see, so it's like you almost lock up 3 of those spots with Joey and Herbert and Mariota.
I don't know if Herbie's on my list.
No?
I don't think so.
I think you got to get a little Michael James in
I
there.
think you got to get LaMichael James in there.
Boy, maybe like a Jay Stu,
Ooh, Jay Stu's nice.
or perhaps a Kenyon Barner.
Jonathan Stewart breaks
Haloti
my
Nada.
Jonathan Stewart breaks my heart because he was supposed to go to Wazoo.
Yeah, Haloti Nada. That's tough. I think it's tough to narrow it down to 5.
Yeah, I have a little soft spot in my heart for Kenyon Barner because I did watch him die on the field once. That was scary.
Right?
He got like ambulanced out of Martin Stadium, and I was real worried about the guy. I was really proud of me and my friends, despite being drunken idiots, that some kid was like clapping.
what?
Some kid was like clapping that Barner was hurt, and we were like, dude, knock it off.
Yeah. Come on.
We might be drunken idiots, but like,
Yeah.
we're classy
We
out
can,
here.
we can be
Okay?
a little bit of a grown up.
We share our fireball. We do not hoard it to ourselves. Okay.
Right?
I think the number one for me, not being a Duck fan, but just being exposed to it at least, on this giant run, and really my entire life. I think Joey is one for me because I'll always remember the Duck fans that I went to school with. How much of a bigger deal the school became when Joey was there.
Mm-hmm.
I've also met Joey multiple times, talked to him, a great dude.
Yeah. That era right then, that time was kind of the launching point of what we now know as Oregon football.
And seeing my friends who were Husky fans, and USC was really good back then, and Wazoo was pretty good at the time as well, and you sprinkle in some other people here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Stanford came on a rise pretty shortly after that. That I think seeing another team back to the table was really fun.
Yeah.
So I'll probably have Joey one up there. Jay Stu, even though it breaks my heart. Yeah, LaMichael was really fun. Mariota, though. It's probably Mariota, too. Yeah. He was just so good. And so fun to watch. And there were so many
Heisman and stuff.
and there were so many times that, I'm going to kill the drinking game over on the YouTube chat right now, but I'll never forget.
Buckle up, Rufio.
I'll never forget. Wazoo had beaten Oregon 4 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very high on my own supply. That's a full recruiting cycle, like all the things you can think of.
Right.
And we watched a game where we should have beat Oregon. We had him on the ropes. And then Mariota did some stuff, and I was like, that guy's going to win the Heisman.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's why you win a Heisman.
That's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
That's how you
Oakley
do it.
dokley, we got a great show for you today. A lot to get to, my friends. I'll have my good buddy Alex Ryan-Emmy from Altitude Sports Network out of Denver come on, talk to us about the Broncos. Bo Nix, a little chatter there for you Duck fans out there on his progression and how fans have taken to him. And I think you'll love what they've got to say there. Let's talk a little bit about coaching hires in the NFL, how we get there and how coaches are perceived. I'd like to have an honest conversation with us about the Portland Trailblazers. I'd like to have another honest conversation with us about the Oregon Ducks as they land 2 more transfers into the secondary. That's just going to bolster that team and put, rightfully so, great expectations on there. The Natty is on Monday. We'll get to some of that. I want to have quarterback conversations as well. But let's start, not just because I'm a giant fan of this sport, but because the biggest news in the sport right now is the Dodgers have signed another one. And this isn't necessarily a baseball thing. This is an issue we've got with sports and what it can cause a ripple effect throughout the rest of the world. We'll go there next. This is 105.1 The Fan. 10:18 here, Portland Sports Leader. Don't you forget it. We are live from the shadows of the historic Fremont Bridge. 503-864-6326. That's the fan text line. She'll let you interact with us throughout the entire day. Come say hi, what up, over on the YouTube page, youtube.com/1051 The Fan. Join us on there. We're always having a nice time in there. And sorry if I'm not as interactive with you over there as I tend to be for, solo dolo today. But we're going to have a lot of fun. There's a lot to get to this hour. We'll play some fun with the NFC West as the playoffs are on the horizon this weekend, and why these three teams are, in my opinion, the three best teams remaining maybe in all of football. So we'll have some fun with that. I'd like to have a conversation as well about the quarterback situation in college football. And there's kind of two approaches that we're seeing, and coaches that you out there are very familiar with, one in Mario Cristobal and one in Dan Lanning, who are doing things different ways. And I'm curious, which way's the best way? I think I know the answer. I think you do too, but we'll have that convo in about 15 minutes. I had this on the show sheet yesterday, Rust, wanted to get to it and kind of talk about where the great Kyle Tucker might go. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Coveted free agent. I remember hearing when Vladdy Guerrero Jr. signed his $500 million deal, the conversation was as if Vladdy's worth $500 million, Kyle Tucker's worth $600 million. Assuming, everybody loves to use the 10-year deal as a litmus test.
Right.
All I'd been hearing over the last 2 weeks or so in the race for Kyle Tucker, and this was a conversation we're going to have in some little small segment somewhere later in the show, was that the Mets or the Blue Jays. And the Blue Jays were basically going to punt on Bo Bichette, who, if you don't know, signed a 3-year deal with the Mets today to play third base, not second, play third base for the Mets, as Frankie Lindor is already at short. And I thought to myself, you know what? Smart move. Punt on Bo Bichette and get yourself some Kyle Tucker, because he fills a gap that you need desperately, would hit really well in that stadium and give you a chance to go back to the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
Enter last night, it breaks out. The Dodgers agree to a 4-year deal, $240 million deal with Kyle Tucker that pays him $60 a year. There's a $68 million signing bonus to offset some taxes, $30 million deferred, and the history of baseball is now over.
See, so we've often, and long time, not the general we, not you and me, we, but referred to the Yankees as the evil empire. Are the Dodgers just the slightly less evil empire?
Well, what's really difficult is, and you and I were kind of talking to the brand man a little bit about this before the show. There's twofold to it. If you're the upper brass of the Los Angeles Dodgers, you have the market by its balls, to be honest with you. Like, you control it. You get to dictate stuff. You have found new, innovative ways to skirt payments. And maybe not skirt payments, but just change the way tradition in the sport has been. To a point where I've talked at length, whether it was the Hot Corner with Joe or this program with Danny, about you can't be really mad at somebody because they found a new way to do it. It's kind of like NIL in college football, If I was talking with Luke a little bit, that if Luke's the quarterback and I'm the wide receiver, but we spent all our money on Luke, all of a sudden the coffee shop across the street has $3 million for Patrick Harris. Where'd they get that?
Right.
People are finding ways to do this. So I don't want to fault them for that they control the market, and they've come up with new ways that other teams seem to be kind of not interested in. We saw Alex Bregman sign with the Cubs. A big reason why he spurned the Red Sox was they wanted to do deferred money, and he didn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a player thing. You got to find the right guys that are willing to do that system. At the same time, I think what's really tough when it comes to the Dodgers is, even with Kyle Tucker, they're all a bunch of likable guys. Mookie is one of my favorite players I've ever watched.
Mm-hmm.
Freddie Freeman is an MVP.
Shohei
is
his teeth.
Shohei is, Shohei.
Right.
And so there's a lot, Will Smith is a homegrown talent there. He's a great catcher.
Hell of a rapper.
It's hard to dislike some of those players. The problem isn't necessarily with how much money that they're going to spend.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with it is how the rest of the league is going to react, okay? All through my feeds throughout the time is just, you've ruined baseball. Welcome to a lockout. And I do think a lockout is coming now.
Mm-hmm.
Today's the first day I've ever said on air that I do think a lockout is coming. I didn't think so beforehand. But when it comes to that stuff and what makes this such a weird, polarizing thing, I know I'm a baseball nerd, and I know a lot of you out there might not be baseball nerds, so I'll try to put it in kind of context. If you're a player, because it's the MLBPA versus the owners in a new labor agreement.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the MLBPA, are you mad at what the Dodgers are doing as a player?
No,
Because it's increasing salaries,
Mm-hmm.
it's adding new incentives and new different ways to get your money,
Mm-hmm.
setting you up for life if you're Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
Or you can be Bo Bichette, who gets paid right away,
Yep.
or Juan Soto. Or are you pissed because you're not on the Dodgers?
I think the Players Association, they're just fine with it because, like you said, contracts keep going up and bigger. And I remember it wasn't too terribly long ago where players' unions would get ticked off at somebody taking a hometown discount and be like, because you're killing it for the rest of us now.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
Now
I
you're-
mean, like that. Let's take Mariners, for example. Not hometown, but hometown adjacent.
Right.
That Julio Rodriguez deal, if he continues his rise, is an amazing deal.
Mhm.
It is such a steal to get a player of that caliber.
So I mean, it's just they want more money for their players, and I think that's probably basically their bottom line.
Now, another thing to kind of put into context to make sure that people don't, want to jump a cliff or find the nearest bridge when it comes to baseball. Look, this game is a very complex game, but its core roots are three things.
Mhm.
You throw the ball, you catch the ball, you hit the ball.
Exactly.
That comes out of Bull Durham.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I did not have the Blue Jays going to the World Series. Sure did not have them pushing to a Game 7.
Right.
So even though these teams are loaded, baseball's kind of the one sport where it's any given day. Basketball has that a little bit. KD's a top 10 scorer of all time
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a top 5 scorer in the grand scheme of things. He can have an off night shooting,
Right.
but I don't think he's going 0 for 15 from the field. You see what I mean?
I got you.
To where Alex Rodriguez, Mike Trout have had playoff struggles. You know, guys can do that even on loaded teams or bad teams for that matter. You still have to play baseball.
Yep.
I think the only thing that is the larger fear is the last time Major League Baseball went through something like this, it really hurt the sport.
Mm-hmm.
It put the sport back a few years, kind of lost a lot of national interest, and it ushered in an era of the most controversial players in the history of the game.
Yeah.
Are you going to do that again? Baseball's on a really great trajectory right now.
Yeah.
It makes as much money as the NBA. They're both $10.6 billion industries. Obviously, NFL's king, but I think you would be surprised. Now, the pie is different.
Right.
I think we talked about this last time Danny was out. I think Rufio might have been with me. The pie is different in terms of TV revenue, local markets, ticket sales, etc. But I think most people would be very surprised that Major League Baseball makes the same money as the NBA.
Yeah, you just shocked the hell out of me when you said that. You know?
And baseball's in a great spot. The youth movement that started 5-6 years ago is really paying off, and there's more new kids coming. I think last year's playoffs, Dodgers, Blue Jays World Series helps. Locally, Mariners gets giant traction when they're good on this station. You're building to something great. Are you going to lose that?
See, and I think with baseball, too, I feel like is of the, I'll say at least the big three, because I don't follow hockey at all. Sorry, puckheads. But I feel like baseball is that one where it's the one where the most often you see one or two of those teams that will just like all of a sudden come out of nowhere and pop up for a year and hit the playoffs, and then they disappear again for 4 years. You know what I mean? As opposed to like in the NFL where you've definitely got your handful that you see there every year, and then you got your fringe teams that make your 6 and 7 seed and whatnot. But I feel like baseball is the one that you have more of the random teams that pop up every now and then, and it's like, where did that come from?
Texas Rangers won a World Series, haven't been in the playoffs since.
Right?
Arizona lost in the World Series, hasn't been in the playoffs since.
Yep.
I am the opposite of this thought, as Jordan texts in right now. The Yankees never even came close to spending this way, and the Dodgers are somehow just really smart, and the Yankees the most awful thing to exist in sports. Even still, why winning nothing for years? I hope the Dodgers truly ruin the sport for everyone. There's twofold in that. The Yanks set the market. They set the precipice. Look, the Yankees did this in the 50s and 60s, okay? When they were able to finagle Roger Maris out of St. Louis to get him there, that's a pretty big deal. Okay, to get the best player not named Mickey Mantle in baseball to come to your team,
Right.
to somehow have a path of Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig into Joe DiMaggio into Mickey Mantle is kind of a nice way to go. What I will push back, though, is the Yankees, the players they had were very hateable. They were very easy guys to root against. But what they did differently compared to what the Dodgers are doing is they had homegrown talent. Derek Jeter, Jorge Posada, Mariano Rivera, Bernie Williams, Andy Pettitte. Like those guys were born and raised in that system.
Yeah.
And then they went out and got the Roger Clemens, the David Cohns, the David Wells, A-Rod, Giambi.
Got some of their mercenaries.
Sure. And they filled it out. A lot of those dudes are not likable. Right. David Cohn, I like David Cohn, but I don't think everybody was enamored with him. That's why he's probably not in the Hall of Fame. Roger Clemens is a top 5 hated player of all time.
Yes.
Just the bad incident against Piazza in the World Series puts you on that list.
Right.
So that's where it gets a little different. And I don't think the Dodgers should skirt any of that criticism of the evil empire, just the West Coast version of the evil empire.
Yeah.
But their players are likable. The World Baseball Classic is coming up. I'm going to get a T-jersey of Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
Because I love Mookie. He's one of my favorite players in baseball. I might not this year because he's probably not going to start. I don't even know if he's going to play. But that's what I mean, that this team is likable. And that's how you justify. As far as ruining the sport, God, I hope not. I know there's a lot of people out there that are kind of like, baseball sucks and what a boring sport and I only go live and nobody really cares. It's like, okay, but like, even in the summer, if you're not a baseball fan, sometimes it's nice to put on Sunday Night Baseball.
Yes.
Sometimes it's nice to just have live sports. What are we going to do in this industry?
Right?
For a summer if there's no baseball?
Well, we don't have to go too far back to realize that.
You want me to spend 4 more months talking about can Baker Mayfield take the Bucs to a next step?
I mean, I remember how much fun we had during COVID.
Exactly. You want more Aaron Rodgers? Is he going to retire? Like, is that what you want? If you're going to sit here and tell me death to a sport, like, be careful what you wish for.
Right.
You don't have to love it, but it fills a lot more than you realize.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not the biggest NBA guy in the world, but come March, April, like, I'm going to be a big NBA guy because I love high-level entertainment sports.
Yeah. Well, and baseball's just an easy thing to have on the TV in the background and not really pay a ton of attention to if you don't have to. You know what I mean?
Dude, a nap in the 4th, 5th, and 6th inning is an American birthright, okay? That is my tax-paying right to take a nap on my couch.
There you go.
During the 4th, 5th, and 6th inning. And if I wake up and the starter's still in, I'm like, sweet, let's go.
That's where the 7th inning stretch came from.
You got it, baby.
Wake up from the nap.
Go get last call at the bar and call it a day. Call it a day. Kyle Tucker, 4 years, $240 million. He's got a couple opt-outs in there, $68 million signing bonus to offset some tax reasons. Shocking, he lives in Florida, so there's no income tax on him, despite living in California. That's another thing. The government, old Gavi down there, he's not going to be happy that the Dodgers have $2.1 billion on the books, and a lot of it's not getting taxed.
No, it depends on where you
It
play,
depends.
not where you live, though, right?
I think there are loopholes that people are trying to figure out. Like, when Shohei gets paid his $800 million, he will not be living in California or working in California because he will not be an employee of the team anymore. So I don't know how that stuff works. I am not an economist. I am not a political scientist, so I don't know how that stuff works. But, yeah, 4 years, 240. He's going to bat 6th, 5th.
Man.
The rich get richer.
Nice work if you can get it, right?
Nice work if you can get it. Let's slide over to college football. The national championship's going to be on Monday. And before we preview that game, I want to talk a little bit of quarterback situations, okay? How Miami approaches it versus how Oregon approaches it. 2 different ways. I'm curious what you think is right or wrong. That's next. It's The Firm, 105.1. There's the Kahuna with sports.
I hear they got some tasty burgers.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on The Fan, we're just a little over 24 hours away from the NFL divisional round. The NFC number 1 seed Seahawks hosting the 49ers. That's a 5 o'clock kick on Fox tomorrow night. Coverage here on 105.1 The Fan begins at 3 o'clock. Sam Darnold expected to play despite an oblique injury. The Seahawks are 7-point favorites. Tomorrow starts with Bo Nix and the Broncos hosting Josh Allen and the Bills. That's a 1:30 kick On CBS and Paramount Plus, the Broncos are 1.5-point favorites. And then Sunday starts with the Patriots. They are 3-point favorites, hosting the Texans noon kick on ESPN and ABC. 3:30 on NBC and Peacock. It's the Bears. They are 4.5-point dogs, hosting the Rams. Over in the association, the Blazers are back in the win column following a win over CJ McCollum and the Hawks that sparked by Jeremy Grant's return to the court. They host the Lakers tomorrow night. Blazers are 20-22 on the season. That is 9th in the Western Conference. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of the firm of Harris and Meringue. Weekdays 10 to 1. The Fan Sports Network. 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
We'll get to some NFL chatter here in about 15 minutes. The Natty's on Monday. Why the Natty's not tonight, I have no idea, but I digress. It's quite nice to have a Friday night. Remember when they put a college football playoff game on New Year's Eve and everybody bitched and moaned about that?
Mm-hmm.
Give me a Friday night.
Yeah.
3 days into the playoffs, and like if you're an Indiana or a Miami fan, say you're a Duck fan, you want to hate watch Cristobal get blown out? Why not just get loaded on a Friday instead of a Monday?
They want to take that Monday, and now that the NFL isn't there anymore.
I don't know, but if college is your preface for the NFL, why not keep the preface before the latter?
Look, don't try to use logic.
Dude, I'm a big fan of logic around here. I'm a big fan of logic, and apparently nobody else is. But I guess that's just me. The big news following Dante Moore's decision to return to Oregon. We'll chat a little bit about that in the big nooner as well, along with some Blazer chatter, so hang out with us till then. Is kind of the idea of how quarterbacks are found in college football. Obviously, we're in a new world right now. Curt Cignetti finds himself Fernando Mendoza. He wins a Heisman. They're going to compete for a national title. Coming into this season, I believe probably the quarterback on the market that was the hottest name was probably Carson Beck.
Mm-hmm.
And Miami was able to grab Carson Beck. He was able to convince Cam Ward to not go to the draft and come to Miami for a season in which he became the number 1 overall. You slip over to the Lanning side, and you've got or let's before we go there. Ty Simpson had been in the Alabama program, and the thought was, well, what's DeBoer going to do? Is he going to bring somebody with him from UW? Is he going to hit the portal real hard? Everybody will want to be a quarterback at Alabama. Why not? They ended up sticking with Ty Simpson, who had been in the program for a few years, kind of understood the culture. He's like one of the last Saban recruits, etc. He had been there. He kind of knew what was going on, and so they went that route. Miami seems to be the side that's like, I'm just going to rent the best gun for hire. You saw how much they offered Ty Simpson, $6.5 million to play at Miami next year. I never thought that was going to happen. I think if you're a Ty Simpson type character and you stuck through all those years at Alabama, got your shot, went to a playoff, won a game. Sure, you lost in the Rose Bowl in an ugly fashion, but that's a lot of loyalty and pride. Like, I can't imagine Dante saying, I'm not going to the NFL. I'm also not going to Oregon. I've transferred to Ohio State.
Yeah.
I don't see that once you put in your time.
Right.
But the question is something that Lanning's been able to do that to be honest, I haven't really seen anybody else be able to do is be looking ahead. Like, this game on Monday feels like Mario's got a lot on the line because I don't know what 2026 and the 27 national title potential is going to look like for Miami at quarterback.
Right.
To where I'll tell you what, I know what 27-28 is going to look like for the Oregon Ducks because they've got that guy already in house. How they're able to convince somebody like Dylan Raiola, who could have gone many places. I don't really know what the market was for him,
right,
but could have gone anywhere. He's up there with the Sorsbys, the Levitts, etc., the Lagways, etc., the Dantes. He decides he's going to sit behind a quarterback for a year. They did this again. Is this like McDonald's salt on fries?
Well,
I don't know how he does it. It's fascinating. It's impressive.
Well, and I got to say, too, that what I'm surprised about is that not that they found another quarterback to come in and sit and watch for a year, but the fact that quarterback was Dylan Raiola.
The fact that he had started 2 years before that. The fact that he could have gone anywhere and played this year. In the world of transfers, okay, in the world of the transfer portal and how everybody wants playing time, and I get it. Look at the mass exodus from the depth of Oregon. Oregon fans are like, oh, no, we're losing all this depth. But your high-end starters are there. Everybody's going through that right now. Everybody's losing their depth because people want to play.
Right.
You can tell me that guys at the number one position, the most important position in all of professional sports, let's not beat around the bush here, college is a professional sport, is willing to not play and sit behind somebody, swallow that ego and say Dante's a better quarterback than me, and I'll wait a year and try to go win a Natty or a Heisman? Wild.
Yeah. And you get fans freaking out about losing the depth from transfers going out and whatnot. But what you got to remember, too, you've got transfers coming in, too, to replace some of that depth. And I think the ones that go out, that perhaps stings a touch more because you know that name more than the names that are coming in.
Agreed. And I think maybe the new approach, and this is something that Lanning has done really, really well at Oregon, maybe the new approach is your depth is your high school recruiting, some of these schools that are known powerhouses in high school recruiting
Yeah.
have taken a step back in high school recruiting and are hitting the transfer portal harder.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know exactly if this is Lanning's kind of idea behind it, but if you're going to lose that depth every year in the transfer portal, but you can bring in freshmen to be that depth,
Right.
then you land yourself a Brandon Finney Jr. And you go, oh, man, we're a high school at a high level. Brandon Finney ain't transferring anywhere.
Right.
I mean, I don't know this, but like, bro, you might be a preseason second-team All-American corner as a true sophomore.
Exactly.
You went to Oregon, walked in, instantly were the best DB on the board, and you had an amazing season and an insane playoff game against Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Now that depth you had of bringing him in
Yeah.
is now the starter.
Right. Well,
So now your new high school freshman coming in is now his depth. And if there was a junior who was his backup who's like, man, screw you guys. I'm going to Baylor. It's like, cool, man, good luck.
Right.
Like, we hope the best for you.
next man up.
Next man up.
Next man up. And the thing is, you still want your high school recruiting to be the basis for the cake and the transfer portal just to be the icing. You know what I mean?
Right.
You want that to be the part where you fill the holes. You want to build your foundation from the high school recruiting.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I don't know, in all sports are copycat leagues, how nobody else has kind of figured this out.
Right.
It's got to take the right guy, you know?
Yep.
I don't know if I don't know if Lanning and that crew or whoever your coach is, whether it's Day or Signetti or Franklin or, you know, whoever it wants to be, DeBoer, are you able to have that real conversation with Dylan Raiola and say, hey, bud, you have the skill, but you ain't there yet. Come here. We'll take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, could he redshirt next year? Like, in theory, I don't know if he has red shirts or not, but in that situation,
I mean, I guess if you're not playing,
could you redshirt
I guess.
and then you're just learning?
yeah.
I mean, that's not a bad idea,
Right.
especially if that means you're going to be a Heisman contender, a national championship contender, and potential number 1 overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
Kids don't love that hard love. And not that it's hard love, but the honesty,
Mm-hmm.
you know, of saying, hey, man, you're not ready. We've said it on this show. Different people on this show have different reasons to tell Dante to stay. But my reason for Dante to stay was always like, bro, you need it. You just need it. So I'm not anti you. I love you.
Yeah.
You just need
Could
it.
use a little extra seasoning
How do you tell somebody?
because you don't want to go ahead to the NFL and be instant Anthony Richardson.
Exactly. Jamarcus Russell, whatever it might be. How are you able to say, hey, Raiola, you need to come back to college and you need it. Also, you ain't going to play.
I think it's not necessarily.
That's culture.
Maybe
Oof.
the conversation too is it's not that you're not ready, but if you're looking to come here, you have to understand that the guy ahead of you right now is going to stay ahead of you for this season and he's not going anywhere.
Is the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, when they bring in Raiola, they already knew Dante was coming back.
Yeah.
They had to have already known. And you let it play out for the drama or whatever, or however they wanted that thing to roll around, because there's no way Dylan Raiola doesn't know that.
Right.
And if he hasn't inked the dotted line, he gone.
Yeah.
You know, he's
Yep.
gone. Like, you can transfer before you step foot on campus. We see coaches do it. You know, you say you're going to transfer, but, you know, nothing's official quite yet. It's impressive, and I can't understand why more people don't do it. And I think if you're Miami, you're a little scared. Unless you really love somebody in-house that I've never heard of, because there ain't much out there left. Everybody's kind of gone.
Yeah.
All right, we come back. Let's slide over to the NFL, and let's have a little fun. The best conference in the NFL this year delivered. Are these the 3 best teams in the playoffs as we get set for division action this weekend? This is Portland sports leader The Firm, just me today, hanging out with you on a Friday. 105.1 The Fan. Loaded second hour coming up for you here on the firm of Harris and Meringue. We'll stick in the NFL for a little bit. My buddy Alex Ryan-Emmy from Altitude Sports Network out of Denver will jump on. We'll talk a little Broncos, little Bo Nix for you guys out there. I know everybody's curious on how Bo does round 2 in the playoffs for him. Then we'll have a little conversation about how to find your coach in the NFL. There's some very interesting words being said by one former quarterback on a hot market coach right now. And also, as I heard the Sunrise guys tease this morning, Harbaugh hasn't signed the deal in New York? Is there a holdup, or is this a whole lot of hubbub?
Oh, just, crossing the I's and dotting the T's.
It takes 24 hours to do that? It might.
That size of a contract, too?
I mean, they're giving him the keys to the palace.
Mm-hmm.
I would want my I's and T's to be very fine.
Yeah.
Like I'm choosing the font, and maybe I've got a calligraphy artist out there handwriting that contract for me.
Yeah, just no Comic Sans.
No comment. No, we're not doing this. Doesn't that cost the government like $150 million?
What?
The government has changed the font of a lot of like official websites and buildings and stuff like that, and it costs a lot of money to do that.
Yeah. Like a ballroom?
Just trying to cut spending here.
Yeah, gotta make good choices.
Make good choices.
Make good choices.
The NFC West joins the 2022 NFC East, the 97 NFC Central, and the 92 NFC East as the only divisions with 3 teams in the divisional round. I love to give Danny a lot of props on this. He had something really fun to say when we were doing picks at the beginning of the year. When it came to this division was to spin the chamber and just kind of see where it lands. And
we're still there.
And I think we're still there. And dare I say, even when looking around into the AFC as well, I don't mean this to slight teams, okay? Mm-hmm. We've said on this show, Houston's got some offensive problems. I'm worried about how, quote-unquote, battle-tested the Patriots might be. The Denver Broncos were embarrassed last year in the first round of the playoffs, which I guess I'd rather not go to the playoffs than be embarrassed. Just for the record to state, I did not say that. Josh has got one of his worst teams he's ever played with, as far as a personnel standpoint. It's like him and James Dalvin Cook the third, and that's about it right now, it seems like.
Right.
You slide over to the NFC, Caleb Williams, questions, like he's got the talent. Will he pull it together? This team has overachieved. Are we happy we're here? Or do they got some tenacity in them? And your last 3 teams are the San Francisco 49ers, who my co-host likes to call fraudulent, and I understand where he comes from on that. It's kind of like, how is this team winning games? Everybody's dead. Cross him off. But you've got the LA Rams with the MVP and Matt Stafford, who we all agree is probably going to go there. And you got the 1 seed, the Seattle Seahawks. Are there any teams in the playoffs, Rust, that you feel are better than any of these 3 teams?
No.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I don't think so either. I think San Francisco is the weakest of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe from a health standpoint, the Bears are going to be more healthy than them. And therefore, if you really looked at personnel, you could give the Bears their flowers and say they are the better team.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take Kyle Shanahan, and I'll take Christian McCaffrey all day, every day.
Yeah, I think of that Rams-Bears one, too. It'll depend on Matthew Stafford's hand and how well he does with that in that cold weather.
And right now, when I look at the Final 4 in each league, I have the most confidence. Yeah, I'm going to say it. I have the most confidence that Sam Darnold and the Seahawks make the Super Bowl of any of the remaining 8 teams.
I think that's fair.
It's defense, and it's a quarterback who, even when he doesn't play well, still wins games.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something to be said about that. And McDonald is here to beat Shanahan and McVay.
Yeah.
And that's what it's going to look like he's going to have to do.
And the thing is with the Sam Darnold experience is that, yes, the team around him is likely good enough to overcome any of his mistakes. But the thing is, you got to hope that he doesn't gack it away enough to lose the game on his own.
Mm-hmm. And I know that we live in a world with we just got done talking about college quarterbacks. And I see some of your texts about Oregon quarterbacks I'll bring up in the Big Nooner. It's the most important position on the field. It's probably the most important position of any sport.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times, there are situations in which you don't have to have Patrick Mahomes to win.
Right.
You don't have to have Tom Brady to win.
You don't have to have Josh Allen to win.
Yeah, there's a litany of it, whether it's Dilfer or Brad Johnson. I mean, let's not forget, Roethlisberger wasn't the Roethlisberger we know when they won. I mean, some people don't think Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer, and he's got 2 of them.
Right.
So it's like, if you can minimize mistakes at the quarterback position, if you can not just complete doo-doo, you can still make it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something going on with this Hawks team that Sam can completely doo-doo, and they can lose by a 55-yard field goal.
Right.
I think you got to feel good about this if you're a Seahawk fan. I think if you're a Rams fan, you got to feel good going into that because you've got the MVP. You've got a head coach in Sean McVay who's done this before. And the Shanny magic is real in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, we'll have a conversation about looking for head coaches here in a little bit. Paging the Arizona Cardinals. It's not just about what are you going to do with Kyler and what are you going to do in the draft and what are you going to do with your head coaching. Do you see these 3 teams going anywhere anytime soon?
Nope.
Because Stafford ain't going to play for a long time, but McVay's going to find a guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to find a guy.
He'll get somebody in there.
I mean, who's to say his guy isn't Mac Jones in a year? I think I saw a mock. I was looking at mock drafts last night. I saw a mock draft that the Rams used their first-round pick to get Ty Simpson. If he falls that far.
Right.
And have him sit behind Matthew Stafford for another year if we think.
Misfire.
I mean, if the Rams win a Super Bowl this year, I think there's a good chance Stafford rides off a la Elway.
I could see that, yeah.
But if they beat the Bears and they go to the NFC Championship and they lose that game, I mean, I could see him coming back for one more year. Let's ride it out. Hopefully I don't need any more, spinal taps.
Right. The one thing that scares me a little bit about this Niners-Seahawks game is how much everybody is on the Seahawks and saying that, like, I don't want to say everybody's calling it a no-doubter, but, I don't see many ways San Francisco can win this game. It's the biggest spread of any of the 4 games. It's a Seattle -7. I think, honestly, I feel like it's a field goal game.
Yeah, you feel a little tighter on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. And I think it's because what can happen for the Niners is really great. Brock Purdy can play flawless football. That defense can rise up under Robert Saleh.
Mm-hmm.
Christian McCaffrey can have an all-timer type of game. Those can happen. I just think you need a lot of things to happen to make that work.
Yeah.
I feel that way about the Natty. Not to take away from that convo we'll have in a little bit. But a lot of things got to go Miami's way.
Yes.
And it's not only that a lot of things got to go San Francisco's way,
Mm-hmm.
also things need to go Seattle's way the other way.
Right.
They got to go wrong for the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's too many boxes to
again,
check.
And that's the hard one, though, because, again, of the Sam Darnold experience.
Mm-hmm. I get it. But I think Sam has found himself in a spot for Seattle, and what McDonald and Kubiak have asked him to do is not go be a superstar.
Right.
I think Kevin O'Connell, this isn't a slam on Kevin O'Connell, I think Sam Darnold's thought process there was, we have a Super Bowl caliber roster.
Yeah.
I need you to go win a game.
Right.
You've got Justin Jefferson, I've got weapons, we've got a run game, etc. I need you to go to do it. He gets to Seattle, and as the season has progressed, they have asked him to do more, but he was never asked to do more from the jump. You can throw 4 picks and lose by 3 points. It's not a bad life.
Yeah.
It's not a bad life.
Mm-hmm.
And I give him all the credit in the world. And I don't know if I'll bag on him on Monday if they lose this game.
It depends on, I guess it depends on how it goes if they lose. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. I was listening to Dirt and Sprague this morning. They were talking about pressure on quarterbacks. And I think there's a decent amount of pressure on Sam Darnold. But I think we also have to remember that we always just want to kill quarterbacks. And
Right.
look, where does Sam Darnold rank in terms of talent of the quarterbacks remaining? How many of the quarterbacks remaining in the NFL playoffs do you want over Sam Darnold? I think the number is high.
Well, I mean, Josh.
Josh?
Um,
Do you like Drake May as a kid? He's had a great year. Do you like Caleb Williams' ceiling?
I
It's
feel
a
like
very high ceiling.
I feel like once you get past Josh Allen, that's a pretty tight group to pick from.
You think it's Josh, and then we're like, oh, what are we doing here?
Yes.
Would
pretty
you rather
much.
have Bo Nix?
Maybe.
But see, that's what I mean. So
And so that's what I mean when I say it's a pretty tight group once you get past Josh Allen.
I think it's a big storyline of these playoffs that we're not paying attention to. In the AFC, it's Josh. None of those quarterbacks are expected to win.
Right.
CJ's not, Drake's not, Bo's not.
Yeah.
Josh is.
Yeah.
Stafford's probably expected to win. I don't think Purdy is. I don't think Sam
so.
is.
I don't think it's. I don't
Definitely not Caleb.
I don't think it's Purdy that's expected to win. It's Shanahan that's expected to win.
I'll give you that. Let's stick into the NFL and let's take a peek at this. We'll have my good buddy Alex Ryan Emmy join us from Altitude Sports Network. We'll talk Broncos in a little bit. But what do you expect from this weekend? What do you want to see this weekend in the NFL? Hit us up, 503-864-6326. The NFL playoffs were a doozy last week. Are we set up to fail because life was so good? Or can we run it back one more time? Hour number deuce, 105.1 The Fan.
Hey, it's Dirty.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
This update brought to you by 808 Hawaiian Restaurant. Mixed plates like Grandma used to make if your grandma were from the Big Island, Woodstock, Burnside, Beaverton, or online ate-oh-ate.com. First on The Fan, we're a little over 24 hours away from the NFL divisional round of the playoffs. The NFC's number one seed, Seattle Seahawks, they host the 49ers. That's a 5 o'clock kick tomorrow night. Coverage here on 105.1 The Fan starts at 3 o'clock. Sam Darnold expected to play despite an oblique injury. The Seahawks are 7-point favorites. Tomorrow starts, however, with Bo Nix and the Broncos hosting Josh Allen and the Bills. That's a 1:30 kick on CBS and Paramount Plus. The Broncos 1.5-point favorites. Sunday begins with the Patriots Patriots 3-point favorites hosting the Texans. That is noon on ESPN and ABC, and then at 3:30 on NBC and Peacock. The Bears are 4.5-point dogs hosting the Rams. Over in the association, the Blazers back in the win column following a victory over CJ McCollum and the Hawks, spurred by Jeremy Grant's return to the court. They host the Lakers tomorrow night. Blazers are 20-22 on the season, 9th in the Western Conference. And some MLB news and notes. The Dodgers signing right fielder Kyle Tucker to a 4-year, $240 million deal. The Mets reportedly signing infielder Bo Bichette, 3 years, $126 million. And it looks like catcher JT Realmuto returning to the Phillies on a 3-year, $45 million deal. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Russ from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Fan is live on YouTube and Twitch. And now Window Nation brings you on-demand videos. Watch Window Nation's Window into the Fan.
All right, hour number deuce here. If you're missing the first hour, you can download that, the Fan Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. 1051thefan.com, the Odyssey app, wherever, including places that rhyme with Merangify. You can find those there. Solo show. Danny's got some personal stuff to take care of today, so he is out. We're also off on Monday. Nice 4-day weekend for that guy. Must be nice. Must be nice.
Must be nice.
I have a theory that he's just not here because Shaden played well last night. Is that fair to say? I hope you're listening, buddy. I hope you're listening out there. I hope you're not, actually. I hope you get your stuff done so you can get back here.
Right? Yeah, there you go.
Oh, let's see. Yeah, so if you're missing the first hour, you can go ahead and get that wherever you get your podcast. The Odyssey app, youtube.com/1051. The Fan. Rewind, fast forward, except in the future, that would be impossible. Kind of finishing up a little bit of our NFL talk as the playoffs come this weekend. We've got 4 games. It starts on Saturday at 1:30, Bills, Broncos. 5 o'clock, Niners, Seahawks. Sunday, we start a little earlier. The nooner is Texans at Patriots. And then the afternoon nightcap, Rams at Bears. The first round of the playoffs, the wild card one for the books. 12 lead changes in the fourth quarter. Game-winning drives by quarterbacks all galore, offense everywhere. We can't assume we get that again, do we? No way the gods smile on us that well, do they?
That'd be great, wouldn't it, though?
I think we're in for what, and I mean this in the best possible way, I think we're in for something opposite.
Think we're going to have some blowouts?
No. I think we're going to see some defense.
Oh, okay.
I think we're going to see some defense, and I think we're going to see some quarterback play that is going to go one of two ways. What do I always say? What's the difference between an elite quarterback and a very good quarterback? Who throws a pick in the fourth quarter? I think that will be the narrative coming in on Monday. Also, the kids. I want to see the kids. C.J. Stroud is one of the old men in this playoffs. Think about that.
Third year?
Think about that.
Yeah.
C.J. Stroud's one of the old kids in this playoff. I'm going to be watching for defensive prowess. I want to see if Vrabel's defense can keep them in that game because Houston's going to be, trying to kill Drake May. I want to see that Bronco defense. Can they sustain Josh Allen? That's where it is. It's the matchups. It's these specific matchups are creating narratives in which a lot of these teams, we expect the defense to carry them through. If the Broncos win, what are we going to say? It's defense. If the Seahawks win, what are we going to say? It's defense. If the Rams win, we're going to say it's Stafford, but that defense held Caleb Williams. Okay? The Texans beat the Patriots. I think that's going to happen. Defense. So, yes, there will be this fun, exciting aspect of defense, but that will shine all the light on quarterback.
Yeah.
Offensive line, running backs.
And so what are senior citizens in there? You've got
got old Matt.
Stafford and,
You got
and
Matthew.
Josh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Josh is the second oldest quarterback in the playoffs, and he's 8 years younger than Matt Stafford.
He's in year 8, right?
Well,
8 or
I
9,
know,
something like that.
I know, but Matt Stafford's in year 20.
Yeah. He's 74 years old.
Which, always makes you and me feel great about
Right.
this.
Yes, exactly.
I think it'll be real fun. I think the room for error on both offense and defense in the first round, in the wild card round, was quite large, which allows you to make up some of those mistakes. I am a firm believer in sports and in real life that it's okay to make mistakes. You just can't make them again.
Right.
You got to learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of teams, whether they won or lost in the first round, made mistakes and learned from them. The Jags were kind of dominating the Bills there for a minute. And then Josh was like, okay, all right, what are we not doing? Oh, we're not doing me.
Yeah.
Got it.
Put this
I'll figure
cape
that
on.
out.
Yeah.
And then
I tell you what, once Jacksonville had that one go-ahead score, I was like, oh, there's too much time. They're going to lose this game.
and when Cam Little missed that field goal. So that's what it is. I think there's going to be a lot of particular moments, and these games will not be for the average NFL fan. These are going to be for you diehards, I think.
For the meatheads.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're going to be staring at offensive line play. You're going to ask yourself which run game is going to get going the best.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, if you're losing your number one receiver, which it's very easy to just sit here and say, don't let JSN get the ball. Weird.
Yeah.
No S, amigo.
Yeah.
But can
That's like the opposite of saying, why don't you just call the touchdown play?
but can Rashid Shaheed get himself the ball? If you X out Stephon Diggs, where does Hunter Henry play in this? If Cortland Sutton's not the guy, is it the run game or is it receiver 2, receiver 3? it's gonna be that fascinating play. What are the looks we're throwing at quarterbacks?
Uh-huh.
You know, is the dime package how we're gonna go against Brock Purdy? But it turns out that cover 2 or nickel's your better spot. Like that, I think this is built for the Junkies.
Yeah, absolutely. Watch it in the trenches. I don't want to go necessarily as far as 3 yards in a cloud of dust or anything.
No, I don't think anybody wants that. I heard the guys talking this morning, not to talk about their show too much, but we don't want to watch Alabama LSU from the mid-2000s. We don't need that.
No.
We don't need that. Now, I like close games like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 15-13 game can be sexy to a point.
Yes, but I do want to see offenses able to cross the 50-yard line.
Yeah, or I want to see quarterbacks die. Just not like get hurt, but like,
Right.
boy, that was a rough day at the office. Aaron
Yes.
Rodgers had himself a rough day at the office
Yeah.
against the Texans.
Oh, I remember, seeing that game, and one of the still shots of it it's like, is Aaron Rodgers' face the new Eli Manning face?
Yeah. You know, I want to see, and I can't hammer this enough about the kids. I want to see Caleb.
Yeah.
I want to see Drake May. I honestly have not watched a ton of the Patriots this year.
Nor
I've seen their
have I.
primetime games. What I've seen from Drake May looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
And we can, sit here and lament about the schedule. And I heard you guys yesterday on the text line, 503-864-6326. Stop with the regular season schedule. That's all out the window. I agree to an extent. But what's the defense that, Drake May has seen all year that makes you a firm believer he can take down this Texans?
Boy, yeah, because I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't.
It's not about it just being the playoffs. It's also about what have you done for me, and that can be a positive.
Miss Jackson, if you're nasty.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be a negative. What have you done lately? What have you done for me lately does not need to be a negative connotation.
Right.
As we said the other day, we can live in a world where both things can be true.
Mm-hmm.
Drake May can have had a great season and a light schedule.
Yeah.
Both can be true.
Yep.
Drake May can go out there and light up the Texans, and we can say he's made the progress. He can also go out there and get sacked 4 times, picked off twice with a pick 6 or a fumble recovery for 6. That doesn't mean Drake May sucks.
Right. Well, and good teams go out there and beat the teams that they're supposed to beat.
And I swear, you Seahawk fans, if Sam has one of those games and you're telling me that Jaden Milroe is going to give you a better chance to win or Drew Lock is going to give you a better chance to win, I'm going to tell you, you don't watch football. Not to go all Danny Meringue on you, but I'm going to tell you don't know what you're talking about. Like, this guy is your best chance to win.
Yeah. And, when you look at their 3 losses on the season, you have week 1 versus the Raiders. Okay, so that one is less than ideal. Week 3 against the Steelers. And then late in the season, week 15, you lost to the Buffalo Bills. Nothing wrong with that loss.
No. You beat them in their house. They beat you in your house.
Yeah.
That's division rivalry. There's so much on the line for that. There's so much.
Oh, and by the way, you did also have a win against the Bills.
You also have a loss against the Raiders.
Yes. So
First week stuff, I tend to throw out a little bit. First week stuff doesn't bother me as
It's
much.
easier to overlook,
Sure.
I believe. Yeah. But, like I said, good teams, they go out and they beat the teams they're supposed to beat, and you can only beat the teams that are put in front of you.
503-864-6326. The Texans aren't winning 2 straight road playoff games. Also, they're not good against running quarterbacks. May will exploit that. I hope. Drake May's got a little Herbert in him in the sense where you don't need to run all the time, but when he does, it's smart.
Yeah.
It's in a good spot.
Exactly. Yeah. When it needs to happen.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Because, you don't want to Lamar this. You don't want to be hurt all the time.
Yeah. You don't want too many designed runs out there for him.
Look,
You know
one of
what
the
I mean?
most impressive careers of a running quarterback is Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Because it's not just running, it's Roethlisberger with faster legs. Like he's getting hit.
Ranks 23rd all time already in rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
As a quarterback.
That's amazing. I love that.
That's
stat.
not among quarterbacks.
I never get tired of hearing that.
That's bananas.
All right, let's go to Denver, Colorado. My good buddy Alex Ryan-Emmy will join us from Altitude Sports Radio, and we'll talk a little bit about these Denver Broncos and get a little update on how they feel about their future franchise quarterback, Bo Nix. We'll get to him next. 105.1 The Fan.
The
All right, it's 11:18 here in Portland Sports Leader. We're happy to have you around on a Friday, a long weekend Friday. We are joined by my good buddy Alex Ryan-Emmy out of the Altitude Sports Radio, coming in from Denver. Talk a little Denver Broncos, but also a little Bo Nix for you Oregon Duck lovers out there. Alex, my man, how are you? I know you've got a young little one. How were holidays for their first one, correct?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Little girl is happy and healthy, as is her mother. She's been a blessing. It's been awesome. Taking some time off prior to the playoffs is great. But your question is, how am I? I am nervous as all hell that Josh Allen is going to be Superman tomorrow.
Let's get into that. Let's get into this game right away, and let's start from a Broncos perspective. Look, the meteoric rise. If you take the time since Peyton Manning to now. It had not been a great time around there. The Russell Wilson experiment, obviously a giant disaster. How did this team turn around so fast to have a playoff appearance last year ahead of schedule, kind of get blown out rough, to being the number one seed in the AFC?
Without a doubt, you have to look at the ownership group changing hands, having all of that money and having an ownership group that is around and is hands-on, not necessarily like Jerry Jones hands-on, but knows to put the right people in the right positions to succeed. That helps. You take the gamble on bringing Sean Payton and giving up draft picks to get a true adult in the room after the debacle that was Nathaniel Hackett. You mentioned Russell Wilson. It was so bad even before Russ got here. You went through Paxton Lynch and Case Keenum, Joe Flacco, Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater. There were so many quarterbacks that were so bad. So you can't overlook the fact that Bo Nix came in here. And sure, do the numbers not look fantastic, or do the first three quarters, certainly this year, of most of his games look bad? Yeah, they do. But when it matters, he gets it done. 7 drives to win a game, most in the league this year. I would put it on one thing, and that is the marriage between Sean Payton and Bo Nix. They are both football nerds, football junkies. Bo's a fantastic competitor, man, and that's the main reason why it turns around is the quarterback and head coach are right, and you get to pair that with a rookie contract and a really solid, if not elite, defense and pass rush here with Nick Bonito.
Well, let's get right into that with old Bo Nix. As a lot of our listeners here in Portland, Oregon, they know Bo from his 2 years spent at Oregon. And when Bo came out of the draft, I would like to exclude J.J. McCarthy from this argument, as I don't think that man is a real person or a real quarterback. But I always kind of said about Bo Nix, I never knew what his ceiling was, but I kind of felt it was a little lower than maybe all the other guys, the Daniels, the Williams, Drakes, etc. But I always felt his floor was the highest. I always said this guy's going to be a quarterback in the NFL for 15 years, whether he's a starter or a backup. What have you seen over the last 2 years from Bo that have led him from, he's got a high floor, to thinking, maybe his ceiling is bigger than we thought, and a true franchise quarterback?
What Sean Payton loves is a quarterback that does not take sacks, and he talks about negative plays. And when you look at that heralded quarterback class 2 years ago, the QB that had the most negative plays per snap in that class, it was Bo Nix, and it wasn't even close. And that's terms of taking sacks, negative yardage, interceptions, stuff like that. Was he the guy that's going to get over the top on you like a Drake May or like a Caleb Williams can? No, not coming out of Oregon, he wasn't. The one thing that we didn't realize, and I think this is the reason why his ceiling continues to grow here, is we forget just how highly touted of a dual threat quarterback Bo Nix was coming out of high school. And sure, those days at Auburn were amazing, but he continued to do it at Oregon. And when I look at this game coming up against the Bills, if the Broncos don't utilize Bo Nix's legs, certainly in terms of quarterback-designed runs in the red zone, they're doing a huge disservice to Broncos fans across the country. I look back at that crazy comeback that Denver had against, and I know it's a bad team. Like the New York Giants are not something you should be touting that win over, but the comeback was crazy, and it was all part of, an 18-yard rush from Bo Nix, quarterback design run to the left side of the hash mark, finds a way to get in untouched to the end zone. I need to see more of that. That's the reason why his ceiling is higher than I thought it was. The dude can do everything.
He's Alex Ryan-Emmy out of Altitude Sports Radio, talking Broncos and a little bit of Bo Nix. You know, I was talking with somebody around the station here before my show went on the air, and thinking about Bo and his future there. Is there any concern about potential long-term deals with him? Is there any concern how he can be kind of a slow starter in some of these games? To your point, that Giants game, which was an insane comeback, led by him. He passed for almost 4,000 yards this year. Is there any concern that this might be the best you can get from him, or is there still more to come?
If you ask Sean Payton, he had an analogy. It's funny. He used a marathon analogy, but didn't have it as a 26.2 race. He had it as a half marathon at 31.1, which I don't know if anyone is bragging about doing a half marathon. He said he was at mile 4 in his half marathon race so far. Sean Payton doesn't think that Bo has come anywhere near his ceiling. These two dudes, they do butt heads. Like, Bo has barked back at Sean, literally said, "Wake up," to a guy who has a Super Bowl ring on his finger and has a chance this year to be the first head coach to win Super Bowls with 2 different franchises. Now, the question in terms of long-term, he's the long-term guy here. He is the answer. Certainly, he is handpicked by Sean Payton. Now, the question is, can Bo Nix be good enough when it comes time to pay him, as, like, he's going to be a $60 million quarterback a year by the time his deal comes up. Might be even more than that, considering how quickly the cap goes up in this league. Can he be as good as he is now without the elite defense, right? Because we've seen all of these teams that you look no farther than Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. It's like, you paid the quarterback, you paid 2 other players on offense, and now the defense is garbage and you can't make the playoffs. That'll be the main test about Bo Nix, is when you pay him and you can't pay all of the other studs on the team, can he elevate? And that question remains to be seen.
I mean, it's a question around the entire NFL. We haven't quite figured out if that's possible. Let's get to this Josh Allen fear, okay? Now, this is a Bills team that, by all accounts, for the majority of Josh's career in Buffalo, but also his playoff runs and his MVP, et cetera, one of the more weaker rosters that Josh has been around. And I love that we're at a point where we're just all on first-name basis with Josh Allen now. How far, when do you get to a point, say Denver gets out to a lead, what position are you in when you feel comfortable, if you're a Broncos fan, that Bo and this team don't have to worry about Superman?
I don't know, 3 scores. Just look at what happened in Wild Card Weekend, man. Like, so many teams were able to come back from late deficits, whether it was second half or fourth quarter deficits. And those are quarterbacks that hadn't won MVPs in their careers. So I don't know if there's going to be a point where I'm, like, super comfy. Yeah, 3 scores feels okay with this Denver defense. Now, I don't think they're going to get there. I think this is a nail-biter game. Denver played 78% of their games within 1 score this year. Now, they went 11-2 in those 1-score games. I don't see them getting out to a lead early. I think this is going to be a dogfight from beginning to end. Yeah, last year's game was 31-7, 2 different teams. We talked with Matt Beauvais on my show earlier this morning from Buffalo, and he goes, you got to remember, 31-7 was the ugly end score. That thing, a few minutes into the third quarter, was a 7-point game, and it was 2 crazy shot plays that Josh Allen, yes, Superman, made to break that game open. I'm always going to be nervous about Josh, man. It's the reason why 13 days off in between games, I've gone from talking myself into confidence to talking myself into anxiety. I just need the game to kick off.
I think everybody is there when you get this far in the NFL. I'll ask you this. If you remove Josh from the equation, the Broncos lose this game, how?
James Cook goes off for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Last year against the Broncos, he had 23 carries and 120 yards and a touchdown. I went through the 4 games that James Cook did not combine for 100 yards or more in terms of receiving and rushing. All 4 of those games, well, the Bills lost all 4 of those games. So that's been my big thing. It's so funny. Bills fans around the country have been kind of clowning us for a few clips that have been gone online of going, we kind of want Josh Allen to throw the football, which, again, talking yourself into scenarios over 2 weeks, you can make yourself sound like an idiot. It's not that hard to do. But the numbers tell me that the anomaly of the Jacksonville game, where the Jaguars took James Cook out of the game and it still didn't matter. The numbers tell me that's a one-off. I don't think it's going to happen 2 games in a row where James Cook gets taken out and Josh Allen is able to will the Bills in. The reason why they won that game, well, 2 interceptions from Trevor Lawrence. If Bo Nix continues to not make negative plays and you take James Cook out of the equation, man, I think they find a way to get it done.
I'll get you out of here on this, Raj. It's a little hyperbole. I understand that. It's a little, sky is falling a little bit. This isn't a disaster if the Broncos lose, is it?
I don't think it is. I think it might be a disaster if they get embarrassed again and the defense doesn't show up because,
It
well,
feels
the
a little
defense
ahead of
carries you here.
It feels a little ahead of schedule, right?
We were ahead of schedule last year. I changed goalposts and moved them the entire season because I'm a believer in, regular seasons are living and breathing organisms. But at the beginning of the season, my goal for the Broncos was win a playoff game. I thought it was going to happen in the wild card. I didn't think they were going to be the 1 seed and have a bye into the divisional round. No, if they lose to Josh Allen in his destiny year where Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow aren't in the postseason, no, we're not burning the house down. Sean is building the right things here. And he's got a young quarterback on a rookie deal that you can continue to build around. I thought it was going to be more disaster for the Bills if they lose this game. Do you fire Sean McDermott now? I got the answer from people in Bills Mafia that, like, the Pagulas aren't firing Sean McDermott. And the words were, even if they lose by 30 to Denver. I think that's a little crazy. No, dude, if Denver gets blown out in this game, it'll be very disappointing, but it's not the end of the world.
He's Alex Ryan Emmy of the Altitude Sports Radio. Thank you, buddy, for hopping on with me. You're game number 1, so your anxiety doesn't have to last too much longer, I guess? Or would you rather be the late one and just, like, get drunk all day?
No, I got 26 hours until this game kicks off, man. I can find a way to get drunk enough before 2:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'll be fine. It's going to be great. Thanks for having me on, man.
Of course, Raj. You be great, and good luck to your Broncos. We'll catch up soon.
Later.
See ya. That is Alex Ryan Emmy of Altitude Sports Radio. Just a really fun dude. They've got a great show out there to make sure to check him out. I believe it's on 9 to 11 our time. I'd have to do the math. I'm terrible with that stuff, but go check his stuff out. They're a lot of fun over there. That's a fascinating thing. He got a Bills guy on and Bills Mafia saying they could lose by 30 and they wouldn't fire Sean McDermott. I can't imagine that sits well with fans. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
By 30?
That's yeesh.
Shout out to Bo Nix, though. They
hurt.
love him there.
Yep.
Does that sound like they love Bo Nix in Denver?
Right? No kidding. What's not to love?
I get it. What's not to love? He's a big dude. He can run. He's got an arm. Chirping at Sean Payton. Let's go. Let's go.
Mama didn't raise no bitch.
That's right.
All right, when we come back, we'll stick in the NFL, but we'll slide over to coaching. What it takes to find yourself a head coach. Some interesting comments from Ryan Fitzpatrick about a top candidate, but first, the Kahuna with sports.
Hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
If you've been arrested for DUI, you need a team of attorneys into whom you can place your trust. Call Reynolds Defense Firm today online at reynoldsdefensefirm.com. First on the Fan, just a little over 24 hours away from the NFL divisional round. Tomorrow night, though, the NFC's #1 seed Seahawks, they host the 49ers. That is a 5 o'clock kick on Fox. Coverage here on 105.1. The Fan starts at 3 o'clock. Sam Darnold expected to play despite an oblique injury. The Seahawks are 7-point favorites. Tomorrow starts, however, with Bo Nix and the Broncos hosting Josh Allen and the Bills. 1:30 on CBS and Paramount Plus. The Broncos are 1.5-point favorites. And then Sunday begins. The Patriots, 3-point favorites, hosting the Texans. Noon kick on ESPN and ABC. Then at 3:30 on NBC and Peacock, it's the Bears, 4.5-point dogs, hosting the Rams. Over in the NBA, the Blazers back in the win column. This following a victory over CJ McCollum and the Hawks, helped sparked by Jeremy Grant's return to play. They host the Lakers tomorrow night. Blazers are 20-22 on the season, 9th in the West. And some MLB news and notes. Dodgers signing right fielder Kyle Tucker to a 4-year, $240 million deal. The Mets reportedly signing infielder Bo Bichette 3 years, $126 million, and it looks like catcher JT Realmuto returning to the Phillies on a 3-year, $45 million deal. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rest from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of dirt and spray. Weekday mornings 6 to 10 a.m. The Fan Sports Network. 105.1 FM and 1080 a.m.
A big thanks to my guy, Alex Ryanemi, for jumping on. Raj is a good dude. Denver must be a nice place to live these days, you know. Not only is it a cool town, but you've got the Avs are pretty good. Alex knows his stuff about the Avs. Big hockey guy.
Nuggets are all right.
Nuggets are all right, Rust. You got a good point there. The Colorado Rockies, though? If you want me to rant about Paul DiPotesto, we can do that. I mean, that was a huge signing for them, I guess. I don't know. You ever see Moneyball? That's the guy who runs the Jonah Hill character. He now runs the Colorado Rockies.
Gotcha.
He is also the guy that gave Deshaun Watson a guaranteed contract for the Cleveland Browns.
That's great.
So, I will tell you what, though. Coors Field, one of the best places to see a baseball game in the league. Yeah.
Right on.
It's right downtown. Bunch of cool stuff all around there. It's just a really nice stadium. It's cheap to get in because they suck. I mean, they have some of the bottom, like 5 teams in each league. Mm-hmm. They have the best attendance.
Yeah.
Because it's nice.
Everybody's coming to see everybody else.
Summers in Denver are nice. And why not hit the ballpark? We'll have Web Gems coming up next. We'll talk a little more baseball in there about money, again, honestly. But I want to use this opportunity to kind of have a conversation about head coaching in the NFL and how to find them. You just heard Raj talked to us about what Sean Payton did to turn around that team, the disaster from Nathaniel Hackett, and finding quarterbacks, but also trusting and having a kind of back and forth with a guy you trust. A lot of teams going through this. Harbaugh, all signs point to him being the next head coach for the New York Giants. That was the domino I think we expected to fall. I don't really know what to expect for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. I feel like those guys might be next
Right.
in the pecking order.
Could be, yeah.
But I'm not sure. But there's a lot of these people that, it's really hard to tell, especially coordinators, if you can make that jump. There's something I love about the Harbaughs is that they don't have to be necessarily pinpoint in one spot, and that's what makes them good. Sean Payton's an offensive guy, but
Yeah.
he's an organizational guy too.
Right.
The Harbaughs are really good at that. Dan Campbell up in Detroit has been really good at that. That was the big question about Ben Johnson. He seems to have that figured out. Look at Shanahan, McVay, LaFleur. They're all offensive dudes, but they've got structure.
Right.
And so when you're looking for that,
And they know to trust their defensive guys.
exactly, you don't want to overstep. You don't want to think about it too much. You want to put people in place that are going to do the right job. One of the hot topic names is Brian Flores, the Minnesota Vikings defensive coordinator. Now, he had that really weird situation in Miami where he was fired and there was some claims of some, harassment, prejudice, racism, etc.
Right.
He ended up winning that and kind of came out looking better. But I found this interesting. Ryan Fitzpatrick had this to say on his podcast that he does with Andrew Whitworth, Fitz and Wit, kind of on Brian Flores and what his tenure was like in Miami.
Brian Flores has been a really hot name, and I think the further removed we get from his tenure in Miami, the more people kind of forget about how that ended, and the better his name becomes. He went to Pittsburgh and got to learn under Mike Tomlin and see how he led, and now he's been in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell. I think the interesting thing with Brian Flores, when I think about him and being able to play under him for a few years, is which version of Brian Flores are we getting? And in year one with Miami, take you back to that year. I mean, Miami got rid of every good player they had. And that was the jokingly called the tank for two a year. But I'll tell you, halfway through that year, we hadn't won a game yet. And there was a shift in the way that he was approaching his job. He was likable. He was relatable. He demanded a lot out of the players, but he was also able to get the best version of his players. And I really appreciated him for that. But as his tenure went on in Miami, he kind of became unrecognizable. A lot of the staff he brought over from New England, that was where, he cut his teeth in the NFL, was there for 15 plus years as an assistant. But I think he's going to have a really hard time if you're interviewing him as a head coach. I think in the interviews, he'll be likable, he'll be relatable. But when people say, okay, give me somebody from Miami that coached under you as a reference so we can talk to them, I think he burned a lot of bridges there. I think he alienated himself from the entire staff. Instead of what you were just talking about, having the humility to ask questions, to collaborate. I think by the end of his time there, he became a dictator. He ruined a lot of those relationships.
That is some kind of rough words there from Ryan Fitzpatrick, who, by all accounts, we really like him on TV. Great personality.
Knows his stuff.
Knows his stuff for sure, and clearly was there during that time with Flores. And, Russ, we were having a conversation the other day about the term retread. And don't you have to have been there before to be a retread? I think what we're trying to say is that Flores has been a head coach from an assistant coordinator, whatever it might be, and makes the jump,
Right.
and then has to go back to that world. I think this is where you count him as a retread. And I think that's what gets really dangerous about finding guys to be a head coach that have been a head coach before. Is what went on, it's funny, it's the same team, is what went on in Miami all Mike McDaniel's fault? I don't think so.
Right.
But he's got to take some blame for it.
Right.
Everything that went down in Miami with Brian Flores, I know there's a connection in Stephen Ross, etc. Is that all Brian Flores' fault? Probably not, but some of it's got to be.
Right.
So when you're looking for this jump, that's why sometimes I feel your Ben Johnson route, your Dan Campbell route, your Kyle Shanahan route, hell, your Michael McDonald route, or your Sean McVay route, finding somebody to give them a first shot
Mm-hmm.
at being a head coach allows you to kind of dismiss some of those issues. Jason Garrett, do I need to see that again?
Nobody needs to see
I
that again.
don't think I need to see that again.
Uh-uh.
Do I know if Clint Kubiak's going to be a good head coach? I have no idea.
No idea.
I have no idea. But at least I haven't seen that.
But if he does go, wouldn't that be doesn't Seahawks offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel sound fun?
It very much does. Boy, if I'm him, I just wait it out.
Yeah.
I mean, you want an NFL head coaching gig, and I think McDaniel is an interesting one because everybody loves his mind. You know, I think when he got to Miami, he seems a little weird. You know, kind of a strange cat.
Mm-hmm.
Which usually doesn't bother me, but I don't know
Right.
how that resonates in a locker room full of testosterone-ridden athletes.
Right.
You know, he's not huge. Campbell's a big dude. Vrabel will face plant you with a helmet on, and he doesn't have one on.
Right.
So it's like that machismo works. That high tea works. I don't know how Mike McDaniel works.
I think also too when it comes to the retread term, I think the reason why I don't using it for guys who have only had one stop is because we haven't yet seen if they had a chance to learn from that first stop
And
as a second, in a second place as a head coach.
And I'll tell you what, you know how many teams are sitting in purgatory that kind of have like a quarterback that's like, yeah, we kind of like him. This team needs a lot of work. We don't expect to compete in 2 years. So let's, enter Gannon, enter
Right.
Jason Gannon at the Arizona Cardinals. It's like, well, this team wasn't ready.
Right.
You set the dude up to fail.
Yeah.
I'm curious how front offices look at that. If you look at a McDaniel and say, well, in Miami, he was kind of set up to fail.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at a Jason Garrett or a Brian Flores, you're like, well, I don't know. Garrett had an opportunity in Dallas but couldn't quite get there. And the Flores stuff was messy in Miami. And to Fitzpatrick's point, like, did you burn too many bridges? Does nobody reference you?
Right.
Is this I got to tell somebody that Jeff Rust is my reference for another sports media job because I can't have Dusty Era do it. Is it like one of those things?
Right.
Where I worked with you, they don't know you're not my boss.
Right.
I can pretend you are and
Right.
give you a text that's like, hey,
Hey,
Rusty, you owe me a favor.
Yeah.
Is that what's going on?
Well, I don't know. I think like with I'm also realizing that my rule on retreads isn't necessarily hard and fast, and that you have to have more than one spot. I think you've spent enough time in your first spot, like a Jason Garrett, you can still be considered a retread. But yeah, like I said, you got to make sure you learn from your first stop and what got you fired there and what worked and didn't work. And just like one of your favorite things you like to say, it's okay to make a mistake, just don't do it again. Learn from it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where these go because we still got, everybody's open, right? No one's official.
Nope.
That's a nice thing about the NFL. You don't have to hustle. If Sig wins a natty on Monday, and I would be absolutely shocked, like head sewn to the carpet shocked,
Right.
if Sig were to leave Indiana and like take the Steelers job, which is a really fun, stupid narrative that people want to talk
Yes.
right now.
I'll just watch it happen.
But in the NFL, you don't have to hustle.
Mm-hmm.
If Indiana wins a natty and Kirk gets fired, like what do?
Right.
All the coaches are gone. In the NFL, you can take time because it's
Yes.
not recruiting.
Exactly.
We can figure stuff out later. All right, Web Gems is next. Everybody's favorite. 503-864-6326 is the fan text line, or jump on the YouTubes. We're almost to the big nooner, so hang with us. 105.1 The Fan.
good.
Aw, I've interrupted happy time.
Sometimes it's bad.
No, son of a...
It's Web Gems,
What'd you do?
the firm of Harris and Meringue on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 and 1080 The Fan.
All right, this is Web Gems. Do it every single day at 11:45. Coming up on the Big Nooner, we'll have a conversation. Blazers had a nice victory last night. There's a certain player that I like that played really, really well. And I'm going to bang on this drum about somebody else as well. So we'll get to the Blazers a little bit. We'll talk a little National Championship as that comes at you on Monday, which you can hear right here on the Fan Sports Network, as there'll be no local programming that day. We'll just turn it over to the national guys and let the real pros do it.
There we go.
Now this Amy hour we got going on over here. We'll also have a conversation about the Oregon Ducks as well, as some new transfer portal news coming in, and just how you feeling 48 hours after Dante Moore. I'll read some of your texts as well. But Web Gems is brought to you today from the wild world of Major League Baseball, in the sense that here we go talking about money as well. And again, I don't think you need to be a diehard baseball fan to kind of think about this. If you're not familiar with arbitration in Major League Baseball, similar to kind of like a max deal, the intent of the situation is to keep homegrown drafted players within your system for small market teams to be able to compete. So you don't just have to deal with the Dodgers buying everybody, although they have also coincidentally the best farm system in baseball. But there are ways to try to curb that to kind of keep people in town. And there's look no further than Tarek Skubal, who is one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball, will be one of the anchors for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. So if you're not familiar, arbitration kind of allows you, the team still controls your destiny to an extent. They're allowed to, you can basically go to a court and say, my name's Patrick Harris, and I think I deserve $6.5 million. And the team can say, we agree. The team can say, we think you're worth more, which they never do. Right. Or they can say, we think you're worth $5.75 million. And then you can sit down with an arbitrator and you can have this conversation. What's interesting about Tarek Skubal is he believes he is worth $31 million a year. The Detroit Tigers believe he is worth $16 million a year. That is the largest discrepancy in the history of arbitration in Major League Baseball. Now, an interesting situation when it comes to Skubal is he has the ability to actually use what other players are being paid because he is in his final year of arbitration. That is why you have heard trade talk. That is why you have heard the possibility of him not being in Detroit long term, because the money being sent out to pitchers right now is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Garrett Cole is 9 years, $324. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is 12 years, $325. Old man Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, and Jacob deGrom get $40 a year on short-term deals.
Yeah.
Zach Wheeler may never pitch baseball again due to a medical issue, and he signed a 3-year, $126 in Philly. Detroit is terrified that they have to pay a guy. And I don't know, arbitration's always pissed me off, but it's worked really well for my small market team, so I guess can't have cake and eat it too in this situation.
Right.
I don't know what the solution is.
Well, so now I'm not the hugest baseballman here.
You're fine. It's more of a money thing.
Yeah.
You know Tarek Skubal's really good.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say, but 2-time Cy Young winner? Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. As John Malkovich says in Rounders, pay that man his money.
I know. And if you don't pay the money, and I wonder if this is something, to kind of piggyback off the Kyle Tucker conversation, is the Dodgers enough to scare you into spending money? Because if he hits the open market, put the hat on him already.
Right.
No
if
kidding. Paul Skeens hits the open market, put the hat on him already.
Either in LA or in NY, right?
Yeah, and so is there any leverage now? Let's take strike off the table, but is there any leverage of saying, do we want this to get worse? Because this could get worse.
Well,
you trade him before that ever happened because you got to get something back. You cannot let Shohei Ohtani walk in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
You cannot let Skubal walk in any way, shape, or form.
Right, yeah, you got to get something if you're going to trade him. But yeah, it just... I don't think you have to make this like a Dodgers thing, but it just when you've got the top talent in the league, you pay them like the top talent.
Yeah. Detroit also strikes me as a market that they should have a lot more money than they want to.
Mm-hmm.
They're finally out of the Cabrera deal. They're almost out of the Javi Baez deal. Don't make bad deals. You know, that's kind of part of it.
As easy as that.
Just don't make bad deals.
Just it's like call the touchdown play.
Run the ball, Pete. Run the ball. You know, I wish it was that easy.
Right?
You know, I really wish it was that easy. Sometimes sports, we sit on our couches and we yell at the TV and we're like, come on, idiot. I do kind of, have you seen that commercial where the people are yelling at the Florida Gator team? They're like, dude, pass the ball. And then he turns, he's like, what's up, guys? They're like, oh, hi. And he's like, what do you want me to do? They're like, it'd be really cool if you like threw the ball.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I'll try that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, okay, sorry.
I'm trying, Jennifer.
They're like yelling at the TV, I hate you, you suck. And it's like, hello, how are you? And it's
Yeah.
like, oh,
All of a sudden, I'm not a keyboard warrior anymore.
nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Mr. Florida Gator. That's why I try my hardest not to trash people.
Right?
I'm
Exactly.
I'm too scared of having to back it up in front of them.
Yeah. Well, they're all people too. You know what I mean?
Somebody I know that likes to say sometimes you just need to get hit in the face. You know, I'm on a pretty good track record of never being hit in the face.
Yep.
I think
keep it that way.
I think I'd like to keep it that way.
Yeah.
Look, I ain't no prize horse at the stall, you know.
Yep.
But you know, I might make a podium one day or two. Getting punched in the face ain't gonna help nothing.
Nope.
Ain't
Certainly
gonna help
not.
nothing.
Certainly not.
Plus, it would just make me sad. You're so mad at me. You want to hit me?
Right? What did I do?
I don't know how we got to that. I have no idea how we got to that. But it's Friday. It's a football Friday. It's loopy. A lot to get to in the final hour. Stick around for the big nooner. We'll start with the Portland Trailblazers. Had a nice little win last night. And a guy back from injury, dare I say, was maybe the most important guy on the court last night. A lot to get to, plus the Natty on the horizon and how you feeling 48 hours later since Dante Moore has decided to keep you his girlfriend. Final hour next, 105.1 The Fan.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
This update brought to you by Laurelhurst Market, Steakhouse, and Butcher Shop. A great spot for any occasion. And don't forget, you save 10% on your Butcher Shop order when you dine in. Menus and more at laurelhurstmarket.com. First on the Fan. Just a little over 24 hours away from the NFL divisional round. The NFC number 1 seed Seahawks host the 49ers tomorrow night. That'll be a 5 o'clock kick on Fox. Coverage here on 105.1 The Fan will start at 3 o'clock. Sam Darnold expected to play through an oblique injury. The Seahawks are 7-point favorites. Tomorrow starts, however, with Bo Nix and the Broncos hosting Josh Allen and the Bills, 1:30 on CBS and Paramount Plus. The Broncos are 1.5-point favorites. Sunday begins with the Patriots. They are 3-point favorites hosting the Texans, noon kick on ESPN and ABC, and then at 3:30 on NBC and Peacock, the Bears, 4.5-point underdogs hosting the Rams. The Blazers back in the win column following a victory over CJ McCollum and the Hawks. They welcome back Jeremy Grant from injury. Hosting the Lakers tomorrow night. The Blazers 20-22 on the season, 9th in the Western Conference. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of Ducks game day. Before and after every Ducks football game this season. The Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
All right, 2 down, 1 to go here. Firm of Harris and Meringue. We do this bad boy every single day from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., except for Monday. We'll be off that day. Danny Meringue out on some personal stuff. He's got to move today. We wish him the best of luck. Well, whole fam bam will be back on Tuesday for this program. Coming up after us will be Duck Insider from 1 to 2. Lots to talk about in that Duck world over there, especially on the football side. I think their women's team lost last night, though, so that's kind of a tough loss. I think they lost to Iowa. And from 1 to 2, and then you'll get the happy hour with Luke Anderson from 2 to 3. And then it's primetime, baby. They're back in full force. Rob feeling better. I'm glad to hear that. I like that show when it's the both of them, of course. From 3 to 7, finishing up 13 hours of live, local, continuous regional sports talk radio right here on Portland Sports Leader, the Fan Sports Network. In about 15 minutes, we'll get to Kurt Signetti v. Mario Cristobal as the national championship disseminates on Monday night. We'll be able to check that out and put an end to the college football season. And I'll ask you all out there, 48 hours after Dante decides to return to the University of Oregon, how are you feeling? Have you settled into the expectations that are about to come your way? Because, boy, they're going to be a big one. The Fan text line, 503-864-6326. You can come hang out with us or chill out over there on the YouTube chat, youtube.com/1051 The Fan. But let's get to it, all right? Biggest ticket in town, that'd be the Portland Trailblazers. They defeat the Atlanta Hawks last night, 117-101, in kind of a wild, emotional roller coaster of a game. If I'm being honest with you, one of the more fun games, maybe not fun, but maybe one of the more entertaining games I've watched this year. A lot of kind of storylines coming out of one game. You don't always want to nitpick one game too much, especially if you're a Blazer team that, let's be real. The expectations are low. The dream scenario is also not super high. Sneak into a play-in, and then anything can happen in a short series or a one game, whatever it might be. But I thought there was some fun stuff. This team came out firing in the first quarter. Led by the dude Shaedon Sharpe last night. He was 8 of 15, and not as great from downtown 205. Perfect from the free throw line. He had 24 points in 33 minutes, and he kind of looked good doing it. 5 assists, 9 rebounds, 2 steals. Shaedon's one thing that I will say about Shaedon, there are many times as a staunch supporter of Shaedon Sharpe and sometimes a little bit of an apologist, one thing that I like about Shaedon is it feels like anytime there's a situation of late in which he needs to step up and start to evolve his game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to see little pieces added here and there. They're not always super consistent, which I think is what can pull your hair out sometimes and drive you a little nuts. But there are little pieces of the game, like 2 steals. Oh, 2 steals, huh? 9 rebounds. Oh, that you just want to see it more consistently. The kid is young, obviously.
Yes.
But there are little things he does here and there that make you feel really good. He had a hot start, and I thought to myself, buckle up. This will be a fun one.
Yeah, so he is young, but this is also year 4, right? I want to say. So at some point, we have to keep that in consideration. It's nice to see some bits of improvement, absolutely. It is tough to pick nits too much because, look, not everybody in the NBA is a superstar. So
Nope.
if you're consistent and you do everything consistently well all the time, you're a superstar. But
Yep.
there's only a handful of those guys.
There aren't many. Yeah,
No.
when you're looking at all-star teams, this isn't like March Madness where it's like, dang, number 68 didn't get in.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's hard to be a superstar in this league. And, with a league that's trying to find their face for when LeBron leaves, I still don't know if we have that question answered, let alone from that. I also think it's really
Because Steph Curry ain't getting any younger either.
That's true. And same with Kevin Durant. And I think it's really dangerous as a Blazer fan and how things are constructed to start to really nitpick some of the young pieces that you are going to rely on to turn out, okay? If you are an Oklahoma City Thunder fan, if you are Minnesota Timberwolves is a great example. Julius Randle, great player. Love to have Julius Randle. I like him. I enjoy watching him. I enjoyed him at college. Thought he got a raw deal in L.A. and a little bit in New York too. But he's a good player, but sometimes he kind of disappears.
Right.
But you are in a championship window. Rudy Gobert, one of the best defensive players to ever play basketball, struggles on the offensive side.
Yeah.
And guys know it. And if they can eliminate Ant and force, and if Julius is having a bad game, force Rudy to have to do something, you got a pretty good chance to win. The Blazers just aren't there yet.
Right.
They're just not there yet.
Yeah, not really that close to there yet.
No, so I think allowing Shaden Sharp, allowing Scoot, allowing Donovan, who, look, Donovan's my guy. 3 of 8 last night. 0 of 3 from downtown. 3 of 7 from the line. Brutal game. 12 rebounds.
Yeah.
But, I mean, and he's starting to balance out that offensive and defensive side.
Right.
I could sit here and just destroy him because I need you to do something because Jeremy's on a minutes restriction. Drew's on a minutes restriction. Denny's out, etc. Where's it going to come from? But the reality is this team is young enough that I want to see those little moments happen before we start blowing things up. I've always been jealous.
Yeah.
I rarely ever, and in my sports teams, and it's not because my sports teams are great. My sports teams tend to live in mediocrity a lot.
Right.
And I've always been jealous of people that get to watch teams start from scratch. And one thing I've loved watching this Blazer team, which, I got a rooting interest in this team. I grew up here. They're my hometown team.
Yeah.
Not the biggest hooper in the world when it comes to professional, but I root for this team. Watching a team develop. I remember one of the first times I ever met Dusty Hara, I said, dude, your Astros team, look out.
Yeah.
They're going to be really good. I know they suck really bad right now, but they're going to be fun to watch develop and grow and enhance.
But think, how long, though, are we expected to watch a team develop before the expectations get raised?
That's where it gets tough.
How long until we kind of know more? Because like you said, it's nice to see Shaden putting some things together. But do we still know really what we have in Shaden Sharp? Do we really know what we have in Scoot Henderson?
Probably further than anybody.
And so that's the tough part is after, and in year 3 and 4 that we still just don't really know.
But one thing I do love about Joe Cronin that he's done for this team is it's time to see what could be. That's adding Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
That's sticking Jeremy Grant around, keeping Robert Williams III around, keeping these veterans around to kind of see it. So last night is a game that near the middle of the third quarter, I'm saying to myself, this is not going well. The wheels are about to fall off.
Right.
I can see why this is a 3.5-point dog in this game. I don't like how Atlanta's playing right now, but this is about to get ugly quickly. and the Blazers kind of stormed back at the end of the third.
And then it was like, hey, will you look at that?
Yeah, and then completely dominated in the fourth down the stretch. And I'll give a lot of love and praise. A lot of that falls on Jeremy Grant. I think he kind of was able to look around this team. Drew's still on minutes restrictions. The point guard spot is still a challenge. Caleb Love didn't have a great game last night.
Yeah.
There are individual moments from all these people that Jeremy was able to say, okay, guys, you did the heavy lifting. Let me come in, knock down some shots near the end of the night, and we'll be great.
Yeah, I just hope look, they are basically a mash unit, so that's what makes some things frustrating. With, like you said, with Denny out and Drew and Jeremy on minutes restrictions and Robert Williams III, you never know how healthy he's going to be. They don't play him on back-to-backs, so
you're relying on Sidy Cissoko, Duop Reith to hit a big three at the end of the third quarter.
Right.
Caleb Love, it was Ryan Rupert, who's been MIA almost his entire career.
Yeah.
And Caleb Love, and that's just tough to do.
Is this how you drew it up?
Definitely not. And I challenge a lot of you Blazer fans out there who listen to this program and interact with us, and I can't tell you how much that means from us, how much the Blazers care, and how much you care what we have to say about this little basketball team. For all the people that I have heard in the optimistic side of wait till Dame comes back. Mm-hmm. Wait till Dame comes back. Can you imagine, is Denny Avdia the greatest teammate Damian Lillard's ever had? You know, I see these combos you guys come through with, and I think they're fantastic thoughts. I love the half-full stuff. I caution that this might be a situation where both things are not correct. I don't think you can sit there and look ahead and say, I can't wait for Dame next year. I can't wait for this team to be fully healthy and see what they are as a full squad next year with point guard depth, kids in their final years or extensions, and then tell me that you're mad they lost a game when they're not supposed to win.
Right.
I think that's the biggest challenge that I struggle with sometimes, and I think it's something that my co-host struggles with at times, is that I think too often in our fandom, especially locally, like you just heard my boy Raj and the Broncos.
Yeah.
They're over the moon, even if they lose. And there's always a small vocal minority. But let's remember, the patience, in theory, and I know that's a tough one to swallow in professional sports, but it's not just in Portland. Look at Orlando. Orlando's supposed to be the big team to make a jump. They're kind of.
Yeah.
Patience, when it pays off, boy, Astro fans are glad their patience paid off.
Yeah. Well, and also, you know, in a sport like the NBA, you got an 82-game season. You can't live and die by every single game. You know what I mean? Take the trends, look at the trends, win streaks, losing streaks, stuff like that. It's not like, you know, the NFL or college football where, yes, every game is that much more important.
As being pointed out on the YouTube chat, if you believe that Dame next year is going to be, you know, vintage Dame or at least 90% of vintage Dame, hell, I'd take 75% of vintage Dame.
That might be what we need to expect.
And Denny is him, is Timothy. Shaden as your third best player is a nice place to be.
Yeah. I still
if he can be consistent like this.
Right.
Donovan Clingan, how he's been, if he can be your fourth best player and then your fifth best player is, I don't know, an all-defensive player, Toumani Camara, which for the love of God, stop shooting threes. Please, brother, I love you, but stop it. That's a nice package to have.
Yeah.
And you still have Jeremy Grant, who it costs a lot of money, but the kids don't.
Right.
And Drew Holiday helping you usher in to get that transition. Scoot's my biggest question mark and will be. I think you're living in a nice place.
I still feel like I caution expecting a ton of success from this team if Denny is your Batman.
I hear that. I
think he'd be a great number 2.
I hear that.
But, you know, and listen, that list of names that you just listed off there, it's a nice little collection of talent.
That's a very nice collection.
1 to 7.
That
right?
you built
1 to 8.
yourself.
Yes.
In a trade from Denny, some 3 draft picks there, and some free agents and other trades you've been able to assemble.
But with Dame coming back after a blown Achilles, you know, he's not going to be the Dame that he was before.
Look, Damian Lillard's the greatest player in the history of this franchise and one of the most likable NBA players I've ever seen in my entire life.
I just don't think they have that guy right now.
How you expect a 37-year-old to come back from Achilles is beyond my imagination.
Right.
On a side note, for fun, to dunk on somebody that doesn't play for the Blazers, CJ McCollum. Bro. Atlanta Hawks fans, welcome to the C.J. McCollum experiment. He didn't even start last night. He had 29 minutes off the bench, which is still a good chunk of the game. 6 of 15 from the field, 1 of 6 from downtown, 7 of 11 at the free throw. Stop shooting the ball, bro.
Goodness.
Rather have
Yikes.
Trae Young at this point.
Ooh, ouch.
Ouch.
God, that was mean.
Sick burn. Sick burn. I don't know. I don't mean to dunk on the kid, but like I was never a big CJ guy when he was around here.
Yeah, he's one of those where I always questioned the idea of like, empty points coming from a player and whatnot. Be like, look, points are points, man. You know what I mean? But CJ might be one of those where I'm like, yeah, those are kind of probably more empty points than not.
Sure.
Yeah.
Blazers get back in action. They will be at home this Saturday at 7 p.m. You can get yourself a ticket. Lakers are in town. Maybe the last time you see LeBron. So get your tickets. Go check it out. We'll probably circle back around this Blazer team on Tuesday. They've got a game on Sunday as well at Sacramento, and then a few days off to get some rest. Maybe we see Denny back by next Thursday against Miami. Maybe. Sits out 2 more games. That means you'd only miss 4. It'd be nice to have Denny back, especially with Drew looking good and Jeremy coming back. Oh, we come back the Natties on Monday. Is there anything Miami can do to make this competitive? We'll jump there next. 105.1 The Fan. 503-864-6326 is the fan text line. We might have been misquoted here. I don't think either of us, Rusty, are anti Denny Avdia.
No, not at all.
Are an anti 28-7-7 guy.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
I am not. I am a Denny believer. I love how he plays. He's got a little old school to him in a sense. Just give me the ball and I'm going to the rack.
Yeah, running downhill.
And it's not like ISO style either, because ISO ball drives me absolutely bonkers.
Right.
He feels a little more like stop me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe are those the same thing?
Not necessarily, no. And I think, listen, when I say that I don't think he's the Batman, the problem is, yes, the 26-7-7 or whatever it is fantastic, and he should be an all-star this year. The thing is that on any team, somebody's got to score those points. Somebody's got to,
There's somebody on every team score, not his line, but
right.
There's somebody on every team scoring points.
Yes.
Let's see here. Let's pick a random game here from yesterday. Let's have a little fun here. Let's see. What's a bad game? Jazz Mavericks. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sound like a great game for you?
No.
Must-watch television?
No.
Points leaders for the Utah Jazz. Bryce Sensabaugh. Gesundheit. 28 minutes, 27 points. The Jazz lost by 20. He had 27, 5, and 1. The Dallas Mavericks leading scorer, some kid named Klay Thompson. 23 minutes, 26 points, 1 rebound, 6 assists. It's got to come from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Of starters, it's Najee Marshall, 22, 6, and 4. You can get buckets.
Yeah.
The NBA is built for you to get buckets.
Michael Porter Jr. averaging 25.7. Does he strike you as a Batman?
Better trade for Michael Porter Jr.? No, he doesn't. Now the difference.
Norman Powell, 23.9. Is he at number 1?
No, not at all. Now the difference is that with Denny compared to those guys, where I will give Denny a lot of love in this, is Denny can run the offense if they need him to. Denny can do a lot more for you than some of these other dudes. Look at that. It's not just the 27-28. It's the 7 and 7.
Yes.
It's that kind of stuff with a lot of these guys are missing. Yeah, and maybe Batman is not a great take or a great example, excuse me. I think in the NBA you can't win if somebody is Superman. And maybe it's more that Denny has to be more Superman, because Batman for the most part has a Robin.
Yes.
And right now we don't know what that Robin is.
Mm-hmm.
Can that Robin be Dame next year? Sure,
why not?
Can that Robin be Shaden Sharp? I hope it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're investing your future in that.
Yeah.
Right now, your Robin is kind of Jeremy Grant.
Yeah, but you don't want your number 1 to be head and shoulders above everybody else. Right? You'd love to have like a 1 and a 1A.
Well, I mean, LeBron was mentioned, okay, in the text line. LeBron's career average is 27, 7, and 7. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about a top 3 player of all time in basketball history.
Yeah.
LeBron's best teams had Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, or had Anthony Davis, or had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh.
Right.
LeBron James is a better player than Dwayne Wade.
Yes.
But I don't think it's cataclysmic.
No.
The gap between LeBron James and Kyrie Irving is not the Grand Canyon.
Right.
LeBron's a better player.
Yeah.
But it's not the Grand Canyon.
But so that's what I'm saying is you don't want your best guy to be head and shoulders above everybody else.
I think you're right. And I'm trying to rack my brain really quickly and think about teams whose best player is head and shoulders above everybody else and they won.
Right.
It ain't Mike.
It ain't because he had Pippen.
It ain't Kobe.
No.
It ain't Duncan.
Mm-mm. I mean,
Dirk is not miles ahead of Jason Kidd.
Right.
Paul Pierce miles ahead of Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, Rajon Rondo.
I think sometimes we inflate Paul Pierce's worth.
I think so too. I don't know if there's ever been a basketball team where a player, I mean, let's take Giannis for example. Giannis won a title.
Yeah.
Now Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton has not had the best career since that title. And Giannis may be the biggest gap I can think of. But at the time, I think we thought of Chris Middleton as the second best player on that squad. And the answer was, in my opinion, is Drew Holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Go look at the Boston Celtics. Everybody wants to tell me that Jason Tatum's the best player on that team. Why does Jaylen Brown win Eastern Conference Player of the Year, NBA Finals MVP?
Yeah.
Because the gap is not huge.
Exactly.
And I think if you're a Blazer fan, you don't want the gap to be huge.
Nope.
Denny can be the dude. Here we go. This is something in which both truths can be right.
Okay.
Denny can be the guy without being the GOAT.
Yeah.
Let's look at Dame teams. When we look back in hindsight, what's the canyon between Damian Lillard and who's the second best player on those teams? CJ McCollum?
Right. That's the problem.
That's a giant gap. And that's how you get
Al-Farouq Aminu.
That's how you get Yusuf Nurkic.
Mhm.
That's how you get the Brian Windhorsts and the Kendrick Perkins yelling in national TV, the Blazers got to trade Damian Lillard. And then they rip him out of your hands. And how do you feel then?
Not good, Bob.
Look, I love Dame. But I don't need a superstar that is miles above. SGA is top 5 player in the league.
Mm-hmm. But
He is not miles above Chet and J-Dub.
No.
I know I like Chet more than, Danny does, but he ain't Miles.
No.
Be careful.
He's got big help.
You got to have help. And I hope that Shaden is that help. Klingon is that help.
Mm-hmm.
And
Scoot.
you find yourself, and honestly, that's kind of why I don't want the Blazers to make the playoffs this year.
Mm-mm.
Just for that lottery pick.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're not ready. This is not I'd rather my team not make the playoffs than get blown out. That's not what I'm talking about.
No, but I don't want to go and be like, oh, come on, let's go gun for that 9 seed.
I don't want to stretch something at the expense of something else.
Yes.
Because Oregon losing to Indiana by that does not, they don't lose anything from that.
Right.
You can lose something from going to the 9 seed and losing to Memphis or something.
Yeah. Well, and, going 8-4 in a college, you don't get a better draft pick.
Because your potential window with the Scoot, Shea, and Klingon, and now the Avdia train, you have to start thinking post Dame, Drew, and Jeremy.
Yeah.
And not this year. You can keep them around, but you got to start. You're going to have to start thinking
like Dan Lanning.
Who's going to be my point guard? If it's not Scoot, if Scoot turns out to be not the guy we were hoping for, I don't think anybody's out there actively rooting. I think he's got more questions than the other two.
Yes.
But you're going to have a point guard somewhere, and they don't grow on trees.
No, they do not. Especially good ones.
Look at me, all NBA guy over here.
NBA Patrick.
What they call it? Patty in the paint.
Patty in the paint.
Patty in the paint. Blazers take on the Lakers on Saturday, on the road against the Kings on Sunday. I've delayed this long enough. Let's get to Kurt Signetti versus Mario Cristobal. The Natties on Monday. Is there anything Cristobal and that Hurricanes team can do to take down maybe the greatest story in the history of college football? But first, the Kahuna with sports.
You mind if I have some of your tasty beverage to wash this down?
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on The Fan, we are a little over 24 hours away from the NFL divisional round. Locally here, though, it's the number 1 seed Seahawks. They host the 49ers. That is a 5 o'clock kick tomorrow night on Fox. Coverage here on 105.1 The Fan will start at 3 o'clock. Sam Darnold expected to try to gut out an oblique injury. The Seahawks are 7-point favorites. Tomorrow starts with Bo Nix and the Broncos hosting Josh Allen and the Bills. That's 1:30 on CBS and Paramount Plus. The Broncos are 1.5-point favorites. Then Sunday begins with the Patriots. They are 3-point favorites hosting the Texans. That is noon on ESPN and ABC. Then at 5:30 on NBC and Peacock, the Bears 4.5-point dogs. They host the Rams. Blazers back in the win column following a victory over CJ McCollum, and the Hawks helped spurred by Jeremy Grant's return from injury. They host the Lakers tomorrow night. Blazers 20-22 on the season, 9th in the Western Conference. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Russ from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of the Fan Happy Hour with Luke Anderson. Weekdays 2 to 3. The Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Closing Arguments is next to send you on your way on a happy little Friday. Hope you guys are having a great one out there. Fun little sports weekend coming up, that's for sure. And the cherry on top will be the national championship. Culminate one of the, definitely one for the books. You know, I don't know necessarily how to describe this college football season. I don't know if it was great. I don't know if it was controversial. I don't know if it was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I think we could go with maybe it's like some topsy-turvy
But boy,
or unexpected.
I think I don't know what the book will be written in 10 years about it, but I think the 2025-2026 season will be one to remember. A lot going on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean,
Dabo takes a big step back. The Lane Kiffin drama. James Franklin at Penn State crumbling. No Georgia, no Bama. No SEC in the title game. You know, where's Ohio State? Where's Michigan? Where's USC? Where's Texas?
mm-hmm.
The Final Four was what?
Yeah, right? Holy crap, where did
Indiana,
come
Ole
from?
Miss, and Miami? Miami I haven't seen for 20 years. At least the Ducks make sense.
Yeah.
They're always competing.
Mm-hmm.
Where the hell's Miami been? Is Eli the quarterback at Ole Miss? So I don't know where the season's going to lie, but I think it'll be one we remember, you know?
Yeah, well, and I think part of the fun of it is that it is not necessarily, all of your usual cast of characters. It's nice seeing Indiana pop up out of nowhere the last 2 years. You know what I mean?
Without a doubt. And if you think that's bad for the sport, then I don't know what to tell you because I think that's the new reality. Texas and Georgia, and they're going to jump up.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be back.
They'll be back.
They'll win natties.
Yep.
You know, whether it's in the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. But this is where we are now. It's an equal playing field. You know, I think we talked, and I actually want to kind of backpedal on this and admit a mistake, you know. When it came time to vote for the Heisman, I sat there and I was like, is Mendoza kind of an underwhelming Heisman?
Right.
You know, from a stat line, his stats are fine. You know, what's their real big signature win? Okay, at Oregon, that's nice. At Iowa is nice. Big Ten title game against Ohio State, that's nice. But there was nothing. There was like maybe the throw against Penn State's his Heisman moment.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel flashy like when Tebow wins it or
Right.
Reggie Bush wins it or something like that.
And I think some of that might go into the fact, like I said, I mean, you're not the usual cast of characters. So it does, that's one of those two where he wasn't necessarily like a preseason favorite, But yeah, it's been an interesting season.
But I think we'll look back on Fernando Mendoza and say, that's one of the coolest stories I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice to be a part of. And sometimes the Heisman Trophy should be like that.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
I don't necessarily want the national championship to be like that.
Yeah.
That sounds a little participation trophy-esque.
right.
You know?
But we don't want to crown anybody at the beginning of the
Right.
season.
Right.
Let it play out.
Do you think this season stays one for the books if Miami wins?
I think probably just because of the return story,
Okay.
the return aspect of it after being
Down for so long.
Yes.
And now you're back. You know, alumni does it.
Yeah.
The vampire himself,
on
Carson
the
Beck.
precipice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I worry that's the narrative, though, on Tuesday,
Yeah.
if Miami wins. What a bummer of an ending.
Right.
I don't know. These playoffs were great.
Yeah.
Saw some really cool stuff this playoff.
I would be a little bit disappointed by that because I want to see Indiana, complete this Cinderella story.
Oh, I'll be bummed for sure. But at the end of the day, I'm not an IU guy.
No.
And I'm not a Miami guy.
Mm-mm.
I'm not an Oregon guy. I'm not an Ole Miss guy. So I don't feel bad that my team's out. I just kind of want to watch good football.
Right.
That being said, give me Indiana all day.
Yeah.
I to your point, I don't want to crown anybody on this. Look, Miami's got a good D-line. Ole Miss kind of torched it.
Mm-hmm.
Carson Beck played almost mistake-free. Still kind of skated out. I feel like the clock strikes midnight a little bit. It's kind of like how the Indiana-Oregon game went. I didn't really catch it. This is only what I've heard from people, so I don't really want to hang too much validity.
Mm-hmm.
That even some fans thought that Oregon didn't look ready at the beginning of the game. I thought Indiana looked ready from the jump,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't see how they don't look even more ready. Because if you true serum that Indiana team at halftime against Oregon, they believe they just won the national championship.
Yeah.
And I firmly believed whoever won that game, however it went down,
I don't think you were alone there.
was going to win the national championship.
Yeah, I don't think you were alone there. That's the way it truly felt. Ole Miss was a nice little story there against Miami, but they came back down to earth. Wouldn't it be great though, like we talked about earlier? Wouldn't it be fantastic, like the cherry on top of this weird season of Kurt Signetti wins and then it just goes deuces, I'm out to Pittsburgh?
What if he just retired?
Well, he's not young.
He's just like, I'm done.
He's not young.
I'm done.
And that would be a weird continuity thing in Pittsburgh with their history of, keeping coaches around for 47 years.
I think he'd be a little old.
Yeah.
If he hung
He's
around for
64,
47
I
years.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm excited to watch this. I'm excited to see if Miami's defensive front can do anything against that. I want to see if Malachi Toney can be explosive.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see, kind of stuff I've said about Dante Moore. I kind of want to see if Fernando can air this ball out. I know he's 17 of 20 against the Ducks for 5 touchdowns. I know that's incredibly efficient. And I don't want to take anything away from Indiana. They were by far the better team that day. Oregon shot themselves in the foot a ton.
Yes.
And so
right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean
literally right off
the bat. And so I am hoping, as I've said about Dante in the past, just because it's not that I don't think he can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see it. I want to see Mendoza throw 35 times.
Yeah.
I just want to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me have some fun with this.
We'll get another seasoning under Dante's belt and see how much that changes things if some of those mistakes start to fade away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What would surprise you more? Miami winning this game or Mendoza having a dreadful game?
Probably Mendoza having a dreadful game.
I think so too. And that's why I like Indiana in this, because
Yeah.
there's something about that kid right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I'm just smelling his farts or what, but
Well, they just seemed like they've been super ready every time out.
and something about him, that we've given a lot of credit to Dante about over the year. The moment doesn't get him.
Uh-uh.
You
Nope.
know?
Yeah.
Can he be a little cringy, a little corny? Sure, yeah, of course. He's
Yep.
a nice old-fashioned white boy who loves Jesus. Sometimes, look, Tebow was real cringy too.
Oh,
Like,
man.
that's just sometimes how that happens. Not
Yeah.
everybody's got the personality of like an RG3.
Right.
Like, Matt Leinart. Like, those guys had personality.
Yeah.
And that's kind of fun. The kid's got poise. The kid is just too invested. If Carson Beck throws a pick, does he start getting in his head and freak
Right.
out a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see Mendoza doing that. He threw a pick 6 against Oregon and won by 10.
Yeah. I just
Threw a pick 6 late-ish in the
Yeah.
game and won by 10.
Indiana, they feel like a wagon.
There'd be a title for the Big Ten 3 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Suck
Take
on
that.
that. Pow.
Pow.
Legend. You idiots in the South. Having that conversation yesterday in 10 Toes Down, this is why I don't want to be in the South.
No.
I'm very happy living in the Pacific Northwest.
Yes.
For a myriad of reasons.
Where we enjoy our football.
Yeah.
But it ain't life.
Dude, if you Oregon State, UW, Wazoo, the 4 closest schools, I'll throw Boise State in there. If you Pilots basketball, something like that.
Yeah.
What's nice is we love our sports. We love it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a bunch of other things to do.
Yes.
That's not sweating our faces off. And,
Getting devoured by mosquitoes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and gators.
And gators. Yep.
Like, I'm glad I don't have to worry about a gator in my backyard. I got bunnies. That's what I worry about.
There you go.
Make sure the rakins don't get in my garbage.
Yeah.
Closing arguments is next. How you feeling 48 hours later with Dante Moore coming back? Feel good. Don't get used to it too much, because the expectations are going to come hot. They're good ones, though. I promise you. You'll be happy about it. 105.1 The Fan.
of Harris and Meringue is wrapping up for the day,
You want answers? I think I'm entitled.
which means it's time for the closing arguments. Brought to you by Leskin Law. One-day divorce mediation. Peace treaties, not war plans. Visit LeskinLaw.com for more information.
You want answers? I want the truth.
On the Fan Sports Network.
You can't handle the truth.
105.1 and 1080, The Fan.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. Closing arguments brought to you by Leskin Law. Visit LeskinLaw.com for more information. Nice little show today. Having a little fun. We'll be back on Tuesday. I got no idea what we'll do on Tuesday. I suppose it makes sense. We'll wrap up whatever happens this weekend.
College football season.
Oh, yeah, we'll put a bow on that. Maybe we'll have that fun conversation with Mr. Meringue when he gets back. Kind of about how we'll remember this season. Because I think, we can look back at seasons and kind of say, man, that Ohio State team was really good last year. But do I really remember the rest of the season? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Boy, that Tebow Florida teams were really good. Who'd they play in the Natty? You can sometimes do that. Maybe we'll have a nice conversation on that. Plus, we'll swing it around the NFL stuff. But I wanted to check in with Duck fans, 503-864-6326 or over on the YouTube chat. Appreciate you hanging out with me on a solo dolo show today. 48 hours later, after Dante Moore announces his return to Oregon, how are we feeling out there? Has the dust settled a little bit? Are we still in a little bit of disbelief? Or does it kind of, keep your toes going? Because I'll tell you what, I think it's pretty rad. And I think it's pretty rad as a college football fan. I think it's pretty rad as a host that you all listen to on a daily basis, whether you podcast it or live, however you do it, the Odyssey app. I think it's cool to see how this program is being built right before our eyes.
I think
You're in like chapter 3, maybe chapter 4.
Yeah.
Bilotti, Chip. I don't know if Mario deserves his own chapter, but maybe the Helfrich Taggart Mario is like
we
a
could
chapter.
Probably managed to forget about most of that Helfrich tenure in our short time with Willie.
With old Slick Willie. And then you're in the meat of the book right now, which is Dan Lanning. Watching what he's doing and how he's potentially going to change how other people do stuff is pretty cool to see. A lot of people have had conversations about, it's hard to tell who's going to be where anywhere in 5 years. I think people talk about this with Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman. No idea where he's going to be in 5 years. He doesn't know where he's going to be in 5 years. If I had to put money on it in college football, if I can't choose Kirk Ferentz, I mean, Dan's high on that list.
If
maybe Dabo.
If you believe what he says all the time, then yeah, I could believe he could be, he'll be here in 5 years.
A couple texts I wanted to read from earlier on in the show. Redshirting is what Moore did, and I believe Raiola will do as well. I mean, God, it's more almost Dodgers-esque.
Right?
The rich getting richer. Not only do I keep you, but save a year?
Yeah.
That's real nice. You have to think that, I don't know who will be the official backup next year, but well, if they're changing games from 4 to 9, doesn't hurt either.
I can't say I wasn't expecting Dante Moore necessarily to come back. I was hopeful.
I didn't think so either, especially I was watching it on TV, and I was like, oh, man, he gone.
Right?
He gone.
Once you announced the Sports Center
Once
thing.
I heard he was going to be on Sports Center, I was like, who goes on Sports Center to say they're coming back?
Right, yeah. So that did put a little doubt in the back of my mind, too. But, yeah, I was hopeful.
And maybe this is the third chapter of the Oregon book so far. It's Bilotti, Chip, and then this texter's point. Different coaches. But one reason this texter points out earlier today, one reason QBs might want to go to UO other than money, every QB from the last 10 years has gone to the NFL.
It's a nice little mark there.
And they've all started. Because even Dylan Gabriel started a game.
Yep.
Now, Dylan wasn't great.
Yeah.
And I don't see a long future for old Gabriel, but I think we all kind of knew that.
Right.
He was more experienced than prototype. But Marcus is still in the league. And Marcus did some really cool stuff for the Commanders this year. I love that he's like old man graybeard Marcus Mariota
know,
now.
right?
Like that happened quickly.
That escalated.
Herbie's finally starting to get into his prime and start moving there. Obviously, we talked to
If they can get an offensive line in front of him, that would be great.
we talked to Alex Ryan-Emmy out of Denver about Bo Nix, and they are just over the moon about Bo.
Mm-hmm.
Dante obviously having the possibility of being the number one pick this year should he have gone out. I don't think he would have. I think Mendoza's too. I think Dante's poor performance in the Peach Bowl coinciding with Mendoza's amazing performance probably sealed that. I don't know if Combine would have really changed that. But you're still going number 2 overall.
Yeah.
You're going to the Jets. I'd rather go to the Raiders than the Jets if I'm being honest. But
well, that's like which bullet do you want in the chamber?
here's the new route. Okay, Dante's now the new, long-term solution at quarterback for Oregon, as long as long-term can be in a college football setting. And for somebody who's not really my Huckleberry and Dylan Raiola, the fact that he's going to sit for a year and potentially play 2 more years.
I'm impressed by that he made that decision. That to me, you have to start maybe looking at him a little bit differently than we were before.
Yeah. I think so too. I think if anything, it's time to wipe away maybe the Mahomes stuff, the Nebraska stuff, and maybe let's start looking at this kid as just Dylan Raiola, incoming transfer who's going to redshirt a year and be the next starter at the Oregon Duck program.
Man, crazy.
Rational thinking. This texter about how I felt when Nix came back, except I feel like there's a lot more weapons coming back and feel better about the youth next year being a year older. Exactly, amigo. Carl Williams coming in the secondary from Baylor. You got Coy Perch today from Minnesota, who's basically your new Dylan Thieneman. Like, that secondary, that front line, your center's back.
Yeah.
You got your wide receivers. Evan Stewart's coming back. Gary Bryant Jr., DeCorian Moore, Dante Moore. Like, what I would say, how you feeling after 48 hours, you should feel really great.
Yeah.
But buckle up, my friends. This may be the biggest season that you've ever had.
Expectations are different.
Oh,
now.
I just mean everything.
Yes.
I don't just mean the expectations. All eyes are going to be on Lanning. NFL is going to be looking at Lanning and Moore next year.
Yeah.
What's the progression of DeCorian? How do the transfers come?
Well, and if there's another blasting at some point next season, some of those whispers might get a little bit louder.
It's the truth. The negatives come with the positives. Can Dorian Finney Jr. be talked about the way Caleb Downs is from a secondary position?
Right? Or Brandon Finney.
Brandon Finney. What did I say?
Dorian?
My bad. I'm thinking of something else. Brandon Finney, and Caleb Downs are very different players, play different positions, but you know how college football is.
Yeah.
Somebody learns one defensive player's name, and he's the greatest thing since Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah.
And so, can Brandon Finney be the next big-time stud on the defensive side? Can you start talking about Amari Washington, Bear Alexander, Tui Oti? The expectations are going to be huge.
Yep.
Our guy, Danny Cannell, he already tweeted out his national championship prediction.
Oh, yeah?
Oregon, Texas.
Wow. All right.
Buckle up, guys. You're going to have fun.
Let's see.
You're going to have a lot of fun, but it might be the most testing time you've ever had in your life as a Duck fan.
Yeah. One quick note, Texans receiver Nico Collins out against the Patriots due to a concussion.
It's going to be an ugly game. That'll do it for us. We're all off on Monday, so we'll catch you Tuesday. Have a safe and wonderful weekend. For Jeff Rust, I'm Patrick Harris. Go do something I would do.